Okay.
All righty. Welcome to the Porter Ranch Neighborhood Council Special Board Meeting. This is Wednesday, October 16, 2020. It's 6:15 and the meeting will begin. A few important reminders. This meeting is open to the public via the web or over the phone. Board members only will appear on screen while the public attendees will be on audio only. Everyone is normally muted except when given the floor to speak. All members of the public may provide comment to the board on each agenda item and during general public comment. When the agenda item is up, the board president, which will be David Balin tonight, will ask for the public comment on the item. Use the computer controls or phone controls to raise your hand, which will let the president know that you, or the co-host know that you wish to provide comment. How to raise your hand. If you're using a computer or a tablet audio, one, look for the raise hand icon on your Zoom window that looks like a hand. Click it, and then you'll be put on the queue, letting the board president know that you wish to speak. The board president will then call on you to speak when your turn comes and will open the audio connection. At that time, you will provide your comment to the board. There will be a timer on the screen that will let you know your remaining time and when your time is up. Please do not go past the allotted time, as there are other people that would like to speak. How to raise your hand if you're using a telephone audio. When the board president asks for public comment on the agenda item, please dial *9 to raise your hand. The raise hand symbol will appear next to your partial phone number and the officer's screen. Then we will put you in the queue. When your time comes, the board president will call on you to speak and open your audio connection. At that time, you will provide your comment to the board. There will be a timer on the screen once again that will let you know when your remaining time is up. Please don't go past your allotted time. Final comments. This meeting is being recorded and will be posted to our website at a later time. We suggest you click on gallery view so you will see all board members on the screen at this time. It looks like one of these will be basically like a keypad. You can use your Q&A tab to ask questions, a procedural or technical question, but no question about motions or board business will be answered during this meeting. Any procedural questions before we start? Okay, roll call. Gabriel?
All right. Brandy? Absent. Hassan? Absent. David Balin?
Present.
Jason? Jason?
He was here. There he is.
Miran? Can't hear you, Miran. Okay.
Guys, unmute yourself and speak.
Miran?
He's talking.
He's
Somewhere.
unmuted, but his audio is not working.
All right, well,
Can we come back to him, Gabriel?
Yeah, Becky? Absent. David Lasher?
Here.
Lori?
Here.
Assad?
Here.
Gabriel here, and Miran having having vocal issues. So we have a quorum. We can move forward. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Do we have any presentations from representatives or elected officials or city departments at this time? Let's see.
All I have is a raised hand by Craig.
He'll have to come in, unfortunately, at the 2-minute mark when we give public comment. Thank you, Craig. Okay, since there are no officials present, let's move on to item number 5, because I know that he is looking forward to give his presentation. So why isn't this moving?
Can we just come back to that when we have some officials, if it was Gibson?
Of course. Thank you, Jason. So we will table item 4 until we have somebody from the city departments that show up. At this time, can you, let's go ahead. We have a presentation from Amazon.
Yeah, I promoted him to panelist.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Stephen Jamison, good evening. Hold on, please unmute him. Let's go ahead. All righty. There you are. Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening. Can you hear me?
We can hear you loud and clear. We can see you loud and clear. You have 20 minutes to do whatever you'd like. Present for Amazon. Thank you so much.
No, wonderful. Wonderful. Thank you very much. My name is Stephen Jameson. I'm an attorney with Solomon, Saltzman, and Jameson in Los Angeles. I am pleased to represent Amazon for this location, and Amazon is excited about becoming a member of this community. This particular location is one that I'm sure you're all aware was previously a Whole Foods. Whole Foods moved down the street. This location became available. As I'm sure you're also aware, Amazon and Whole Foods are related entities, and so we were able to utilize the approvals that Whole Foods had secured previously and had been utilizing previously. Whole Foods is excited to come into the community and to be able to utilize the existing conditional use permit. This use permit was actually originally issued in November of 2011. The use permit is for the sale and dispensation of alcoholic beverages. In 2011 and up until the time Whole Foods moved away from this location, about 10 months ago, I believe it was, it had and contained a beer and wine license. That beer and wine license is known as a Type 20. What we're looking to do is to utilize the privileges of the existing conditional use permit. We don't need to change any conditions that are there, with the exception of really two things that I want to bring up. One is that we would like to be able to provide a full line of distilled spirits as well as the beer and wine. Distilled spirits being those things like the vodkas and gins and whiskeys, along with the fine wines and the beers and the craft beers. That would require a Type 21 license. That Type 21 license has been applied for, and we've posted the premises, so you'll probably see that there's a notice of intention to sell alcoholic beverages on the building right now. It's been up there for maybe about a week or so. We've contacted the Los Angeles Police Department. You may be aware and be familiar with Sergeant Jeff Cortina. Sergeant Cortina and I have actually worked together on other projects in your area. I've represented and do represent Dave & Buster's, for instance, Whole Foods, and some others where we've actually presented at some point in the past with you, and we've worked with Sergeant Cortina. So I reached out to him this time and asked him if there were any concerns of the department, anything that we should be prepared to try and address, or any issues at all. He said that the LAPD, as you all know, has found this area and this crime reporting district to be very low, probably one of the lowest in the city of Los Angeles. The concentration numbers, that is the number of alcohol licenses in the area, is also relatively low. We would not be adding an off-sale license, but rather just simply replacing an off-sale licenses there. So as a result, Sergeant Cortina authorized me to tell you that the department is favorable to this license. They don't have any opposition to it, and they're supportive. We also reached out to Councilmember Lee's office, talked to Hannah Lee, and they indicated that so long as the neighborhood council and the other stakeholders are pleased with this location and happy to see Amazon come in and don't see any concerns or problems, they would also be supportive as well. We have not yet been set for a zoning administrator hearing. We're hoping to have that set very soon, because we would like to be able to open this store to the community before the end of the year, so that we can be there before the holidays. And I understand that the community is excited, and hopefully this is true, for Amazon to come in and to start operating. We're excited about it. Since we've been to the LAPD, since we've been to the council office, we're appearing before you tonight, and we'd respectfully request a recommendation of approval. If we can get that, then we're going to push the zoning administrator's office as hard as we can to either waive a hearing, if that's otherwise appropriate, or to set it for the first available time, because we need to get this conditional use permit before we can get the alcohol license, and we need to get all this ready to go, as you might imagine, before we actually open the store. So we're pushing hard. We want to be able to get open right away, and having this before you tonight and hearing your comments, observations, and hopefully your recommendation of approval will help us go a long way in that regard. The footprint of the store remains the same. The types of products in terms of a Highline grocery remains the same. I mentioned there are a couple of differences. One is the type 21, so it allows us to get the distilled spirits. The other is that in the conditional use permit from 2011, it had hours from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. What we've requested in our application that's currently pending is from 6 a.m. until 2 a.m. We're not expecting to be open that number of hours. It just gives us flexibility to provide the services and the goods during a time when the neighborhood would like to see and when the neighborhood be able to come in and utilize those services. So really the 6 a.m. to 2 a.m. gives us that flexibility. So we're not limited in a way that would not allow us to operate in the best possible fashion and form for this community. And I believe that that is it. And we're here to answer any questions that you might have. And if there happen to be any questions that I'm not familiar with, so I can't answer that, I can get to the answer and be able to provide that to you.
So I'm going to open this up to the community before I open it up to the board. Is there any, let's check in, see if we have any participants in the screen, see if they have any questions. Give me one moment. Open hands here.
I don't see any.
Either do I. So at this time, I will turn this over to the board. Okay. Do we have any questions? Jason has questions. Sorry, Jace.
No problem. Yeah, hi, Mr. Jameson. Thank you for coming out today.
Hello, Mr. Hector.
Looking forward to Amazon. So is this going to be like the Woodland Hills one where, because I think right now you can't go in, customers can't go in. It looks like it's just delivery people going in, but is the intent to be like, I haven't been to the Woodland Hills store, but I saw a lot of news articles about it with the fancy shopping carts and, you know, I guess you use your phone. Is that your intent? What is your intent? I mean, aside from the alcohol portion of it, I'll get to that later, but what is the intent for this? The
intent is that it will be consistent with what you've seen, or if you haven't been to that store, with what you've seen. The reason that I can't be very specific about that is that each store is going to be a little different depending on the community it's in, but primarily it's going to be consistent. They'll be consistent with each other. And so there's been a good deal of press, and it certainly should be consistent with the press in terms of.
It'll be open to the public. I guess that's my question. It'll be open to the public so we can go do our shopping. That's
absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, cool. And then what are your planned hours for operation?
Well, the planned hours really haven't been completely decided yet. We're still doing some research and analysis to see what those will be, which is one of the reasons that we're talking about having a pretty wide parameter for the hours to be able to allow us to do that. This store, the Whole Foods, at least pursuant to this term, the conditional use permit itself, had an 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. And it may very well be that there's nothing going on or a reason to be open later than 10. We just don't know yet. And so that's why we've requested the larger hours, the greater hours.
Okay. You know, we have a liquor store right there next to you guys. And yeah, I think at 10 a.m., you know, things are pretty dead.
10 p.m. you mean?
10 p.m. in
Right.
Porter Ranch, things are pretty dead. So I'm not sure that 2 a.m. sounds appropriate in my opinion, but I understand your desire for flexibility.
Right, Mr. Hector, I think you're probably right. I live in West Los Angeles. I am familiar with Porter Ranch. I've been up there quite a bit, and I understand exactly what you're saying. I think that generally speaking, what we're looking is probably from 7 a.m., even though we'd like to have 6 a.m., from 7 a.m. till probably 10 p.m. That'll probably be what that is.
So I guess my last final comment would be, I think it would make sense to be consistent with what's existing already at like the liquor store there. So for example, if that liquor store closes at 10, you know, I think that would be kind of a standard to maintain. But, you know, unfortunately, we didn't put on the agenda a possible motion. So this is simply a presentation, but we do have a land use committee that can meet, and we may have a meeting in the future, just so you know.
Well, that would be great, because as I indicated, we would like to get this store open to the public as soon as
Yeah.
possible. And as you can imagine, with COVID and everything else, everything gets delayed so much. And so we're doing our best to try and push this through as quickly as
Yeah, I
possible.
think the community would like to see it open as well. You know, it's a nice asset to the community. So
Wonderful.
thank you.
Thank you.
David, I have a question. I can't raise my hand because
You
I'm
just
a
did. You're
co-host.
good.
You're
Please.
raising your
Saad,
hand.
go
right there.
ahead.
Right. I can't raise the virtual hand. Mr. Jameson, great to have you. And
Thank
we're looking forward to your store opening soon. A very simple
Yeah, Mr.
question. What security measures you're going to have in the parking facility and all that to enhance on your operation?
Well, I know that what's expected to be there will be electronic surveillance. So I know that type of security will be provided. In terms of security guards and things like that, it's our understanding that that area, that location, probably doesn't warrant that. I had a conversation with Sergeant Cortina, as I indicated, and I asked about what kinds of issues and things, and I was looking for that to see if maybe there was a concern. He didn't indicate there was any concern. So as far as I know, that's not an issue or something that we're planning to do. And of course, security guards are expensive, and if they're necessary, they're necessary. If they're not, then they're not. But electronic surveillance will be provided.
Excellent. Thank you.
Mr. Lasher.
Good evening. I'm really excited about, I was really concerned when we have a large anchor leave, like when Osh left a neighboring center, big, huge vacant 1,000 square foot property vacant. So it's a nice thing to see that that's being, that footprint's going to be filled. To Jason's point, the liquor store next door is actually, its hours are from 8:15 to 11:30 at night. So that's, if it's on par with that, that makes some sense. The police department doesn't, they look at the number of alcohol outlets. They don't necessarily look at the compatible hours, lining them up one-to-one. But I'm very excited to have a replacement for that property. It's very scary when they close, going, oh my gosh, what's going to go in that property? So, you know, certainly Amazon and that name is going to be, I think, a positive development. So,
Well,
and I'm glad you're here
pleased
tonight
to be
to
there.
speak to that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Oh, Miran.
You have Mehran, yes.
Miran. Go ahead, Miran. Let's unmute one moment. Miran, Miran? Unmute yourself, please. There you go.
We can't hear you.
Still, Miran. Try again.
Unplug your microphone and plug it back.
Well, he tries to figure that out. I have one question for you. Will there be opportunity for community stakeholders to apply for jobs to work at the new facility?
Certainly, and that's a question that we get in many communities that we go into, and there will certainly be opportunities to do that, and there will be opportunities that will be publicized in a way that will be meaningful. We can't obviously guarantee a certain number of spots or anything like that. Once in a while, we're asked those things, but we absolutely make an effort to draw from the community for the jobs.
Thank you. Miran,
Can't hear you still.
would you like to call in, Miran? Would you like to take your cell phone and call in? One moment.
I suggested he post a question too. He could type a question. It'd be obviously faster to make a call, but in the meantime.
Yeah, type the question in the Q&A section in the middle there where you see Q&A.
Mr. Jameson, I'll ask a question while we're waiting for Miran.
Yes, sir.
So the hours on the I looked it up on Woodland Hills. The hours look to be 10 p.m. for the Woodland Hills Amazon. Does that sound about right? And then the Whole Foods in Porter Ranch that moved over there, the new shopping center, it's 9 p.m. Does that sound right?
Actually, both of them. I was involved in the Whole Foods moving over to the other location.
Yeah.
And my recollection is it was actually later than 9 p.m. I don't have that at my fingertips, but I
Okay.
thought it was.
I just pulled it off the internet, what I show here, but the internet can sometimes be wrong. So that's what I was saying.
Well, and you may be correct, or we may have gotten later hours approved, and the store may have found, as I'm indicating, that the community it didn't warrant later hours, and they're actually closing at 9.
Mhm.
And with regard to Woodland Hills, I believe it was actually an hour later than what you're saying, but again, I'm not sure offhand.
Okay.
Well, I don't see Miran.
He's trying to dial,
Yes.
but
Well,
I-
he can text you his question or something. Why doesn't he
There you go.
text? Well, he can't hear us probably to tell him that, I guess. I don't know.
Mehran, text your question to David.
Oh, David Lasher has his hand up.
Okay, David, please. Go ahead, David.
I do not have my hand up. That's strange. Nope,
Oh, it's down now.
that's weird.
All right.
Did raise
then.
it.
All right, Miran.
Smoke
anything?
signals,
Let's see,
Moran.
what is this? Let's see if Miran sent over anything.
Or you can open it back up to the stakeholders since they didn't ask anything yet. Maybe-
If I may also just to update some information, I'm being told that Woodland Hills confirmed at 10 o'clock.
10 o'clock. Okay.
All right.
Yeah, that's
So
what I.
just to share with the attendees that we are still in the presentation from Amazon Fresh, and we still have the floor open for any questions to Mr. Jameson so that we can address it. Thank you. Just raise your hand and we'll take it from there.
Well, you know what? I don't see anything. So you know what, Mr. Jameson, I will let you go and enjoy your weekend. I'm grateful to have you. I'm grateful to have you in our community, and I look forward to helping you open your doors.
Wonderful. Thank you, Mr. Balin, and thank you all. We really appreciate
Thank
the
you.
opportunity to make this presentation. If there's anything that you need from us to be able to get that, to get the project in front of your land use committee so that we can get that letter of recommendation so that we can push forward, please let me know. We'll be happy to get it to you right away.
I will speak to the chair personally for you.
Great. Thank you so
David.
much.
David, before you
Yes.
go, Moran just texted me. He was
Okay.
asking about the delivery schedule and any expected volume of truck traffic for deliveries.
Let me just, if I could have just a moment, let me see if I can get the answer for you on that. I don't have that offhand. And
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Hi, Mehran. We
All I
can hear you.
ask. Right.
Go ahead.
Good evening, Mr. Jamison. My first question to you is also about the homeless is parking lot and how to deal with it. And my second question is, will be any AD compliances applied?
well,
And-
certainly, sorry. Yes.
And finally, delivery schedule and expected volume of trucks.
Right. So delivery schedule, as far as the hours are concerned, would be the same as allowable sales hours. So the hours that we're talking about would be the only time that deliveries would be taking place. In terms of the volume, I can get that information to you, but I don't have that information available right now. And I will do that. Can I provide it to you through Mr. Balin? I have his email.
Absolutely.
Okay. And then as far as homeless is concerned, I'm not aware that there is a homeless issue or concern in particular there. I know that in many locations that is something. I'm not aware of an issue there. If there is an issue there, we can certainly take a look at it, study it, and figure out the best way to address it. Is there a concern there that that you guys are aware of? You're more familiar with it than we are.
We do. There is a bit of a concern where, like, in the back towards Rinaldi, you'll get a lot of cars parked in the back of the parking lot. People in their cars. That's what I've seen. And that there's activity under the Tampa off ramp. So there's a lot of people moving back and forth through there. So, you know, that's kind of what I've observed over there.
Okay.
This is Lori. I think as well, I agree with Jason. And, you know, every now and then you'll find homeless folks standing around asking for money next to the other liquor store. So
Okay.
that is something that I think we should look into.
Okay, we'll take a look at that. And then as far as, and generally, by the way, we can address those things depending on the nature and extent of it. We can address those things with lighting, with music and other things coming out of the systems that are around there. There's different ways to do it, as I'm sure you're aware. So we'll take a look. And then as far as, I think the last question was ADA, we'll be fully compliant with all ADA requirements. We don't need it. We don't need any exceptions or variances for that.
Thank you.
I'm sorry to jump in again. Miran brought up a good point. I'm just trying to understand the dynamics of this because like right now you have the shipping going in and out, but I'm trying to understand how that is going to work. Like, is the shipping going to be moved to the back? Because if you have like a lot of delivery guys coming in and out, and then you have the public coming in and out, and then you have like part of this, is part of the store going to be stocking the deliveries? Or how does, I don't know how the dynamic works with like the store, how you manage having the deliveries as well as the customer.
Sure, sure. Well, there is some aspect, and I'll have to get a full answer for you, and I can provide that to you in writing so that I'm giving you reliable information. But from what I've seen for other locations where we're proceeding through this process, one of the things that happens is that there are dedicated parking spaces to the front for people that are coming in that are perhaps picking up their packages that might be delivered there, and they would just want to get it from the store. And so that's provided, generally a number of spaces for that. Generally, the location for the deliveries that are going out from there, to the extent there are deliveries going out, would be separated from where the public is entering so that there's not a bottleneck in there. That's a general answer for you. I'll get more specific and I can provide that to you.
That's fine. Okay, thank you.
Okay, let's check one more time with see if there's any other questions before we allow Mr. Jameson to leave. I don't think, do you see any questions, Assad? I don't see anything.
No, I don't
So
see any.
I thank you for your time. I look forward to helping you once again to open this facility. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Good
you.
night.
Thank
Okay,
you.
good night.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, so let's move on to well, you know what? Let's go back to, I don't think we have any, I haven't seen anybody else from government. So let's move on to public comment on matters
David.
not on the agenda within the preview of the board. Greg Galante has his hand.
And we have Miss Suzette.
Oh, well, you know what? We do have Suzette. Let's go ahead. Suzette, since she's very, very busy. Craig, one moment, please. Let's go ahead.
Hi there.
Hi. I would normally say that when I put you at a 2-minute, but you know what? We have plenty of time. We're moving along extremely fast. So Suzette, thank you for attending our meeting this evening. Please, you have the floor.
Of course, let me just, oh, there we go. Okay. Well, first of all, thank you so much for allowing me to speak before your councils today. It is very important. We have, I think, 18 more days or 17 more days, because I guess, you know, the sun is down. I can't tell. I don't have a window in my office just yet, but I imagine that the sun is down and we have 17 more days until the most important election really of our lifetime. So if you haven't voted, if you're holding on to your ballot, send it in as soon as possible. But I just really wanted to be given the opportunity and take the opportunity to introduce myself. I'm running for state assembly here in the 38th Assembly District. I want to talk to you a little bit about my priorities, and then if you would like, I could definitely open it up for questions that you or anyone may have. So as I mentioned, my name is Suzette Martinez Valadares. I'm running for state assembly in the 38th Assembly District, which includes Agua Dulce, Santa Clarita, Porter Ranch, Granada Hills, and Simi Valley. I am a Southern California native. I was actually born at Granada Hills Hospital. I was raised in Sylmar. I graduated from Sylmar High School, and I say that I grew up in Santa Clarita. And that really means I became an adult in Santa Clarita. My first job was at Six Flags Magic Mountain. I was a ride operator on the jet stream. It was an amazing first job. I was there for 8 years, so I really liked it. I went to College of the Canyons, our local community college, and of course, Cal State University Northridge. I actually had the opportunity while I was at Cal State Northridge to intern for Congressman Buck McKeon, and then he brought me on to his staff. So I worked for Congressman Buck McKeon for quite some time. And while I was working for Buck, I had a niece that was diagnosed as severely developmentally delayed, nonverbal, and on the autism spectrum. And seeing that little girl be diagnosed, go from having being diagnosed and having early intervention services catapulted my nonprofit career. So I spent the last decade in the nonprofit realm as executive director at Autism Speaks and early childhood education advocacy. And I'm now the owner of a small nonprofit preschool. I'm running for state assembly because part of my family has left to Texas, left to Colorado because the cost of living is too high, because the middle class is being crushed, because the homeless crisis has exploded, because there's a lack of affordable housing. There are lots of issues. The pandemic has only exacerbated our issues, and we need somebody from our community who understands our community to represent us in Sacramento. Love your vote.
Sorry about that.
Oh, okay. I was on a timer. I'm like, I have 4 seconds. I gotta go.
Sorry.
I'm not sure if anyone has any questions. You made me speed it up there really quickly. I think I got it all in now.
I think the biggest question everybody will ask you is, and I don't want to put you on the spot, about the Alicia Canyon blowout.
Hold on one
And,
second.
like,
You know what?
Okay.
Assad, we can't ask questions. This is
Okay.
public
Okay.
comment. So I want to stay in the preview of the board. If you would like to, if you would like a little bit more time, go ahead. Like I said, we've moved along quickly. So if you have anything else, Suzette, please.
Yeah, I'll just take a brief moment to talk about some of my priorities.
Yes.
That which includes representing Porter Ranch and, being at the table and at the forefront of the Aliso Canyon blowout. I've had some conversations with SoCal Gas. I haven't met with Assemblywoman Christy Smith, who will be leaving office, who I know was integral in this issue. I have a great relationship with Senator Scott Wilk and Congressman Mike Garcia. This is all at the forefront. I have family and friends that lived in Porter Ranch that were deeply affected, not simply in the months during which and after the gas leak happened, but lifelong or situations since medical history since that. So it's something that is at my forefront. I would love to be at the table, but more importantly, I would love the opportunity to meet with some of the people at the top or at the table right now on this issue in our community. So would love your direction and guidance on that. Please check out my website at SuzetteValadares.com to learn more about me. I want to get businesses open. I want to get people back to work, children back in school. Education is a key priority for me. I have a 3-year-old daughter, and the future and California and the opportunity that my family came here for 100 years ago needs to be extended to my daughter, to your children, to your grandchildren, and for generations to come. So I would be happy to have your vote. Please vote on or before November 3rd.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Right. No, Miran, there's no questions during this time. Thank you.
No questions, it's a comment.
No, but you can't during public comment. Thank you. All right. Where Craig was here. Did anybody see Craig?
David, Gabriel is telling me people are having hard time dialing in.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's giving error saying the host has declined your webinar registration.
yeah, Becky's having trouble getting in. She's just sent me a message.
Okay. Craig's here. Let me let Craig in. Can you, Assad, can you help me with this?
Yes, here you go.
I'm not
Go
really
ahead.
sure why this. Craig,
And give him at least 3 minutes.
of course.
Go ahead, Craig.
Would you like to wait to bring in some others before we?
Well, I'm gonna let Assad try and bring people in. Then Craig, I'm gonna allow you a little bit more time than the regular 2 minutes since we've moved along quickly tonight. So please go ahead.
Okay, great. I thank you very much, David and the board, for giving me some time. I very much, if the board is open to it, like to create a window within the board meetings. We can keep it brief so that we can have a dialogue about what's happening with the health study relative to Aliso Canyon. So if we can find a way to do that going forward, I'm flexible to do it any way you guys want, but felt it's important as you're elected, and that's why I thought I could join on the elected part earlier. But anyway, let me try and briefly bring you up to speed on some key things that are going on with the health study that Miran and I are so intimately involved with, and perhaps some other CAG members are in the stakeholders tonight. At the end of September, there was a town hall held by DPH, and I don't know if many of you attended, but I will say that I want to say thanks to the Porter Ranch Neighborhood Council. You guys did your part in the outreach, but unfortunately the attendance was a failure. and I just want to make sure you're all aware, we estimate that less than 60 residents attended that public town hall. So that's very concerning, and it's either an awareness issue or just an apathy, and we're trying to figure out what's going on there. Now, Hassan and Assad, thank you for being at the CAG meeting on Tuesday. We went over some things, but there was a rather contentious debate that occurred, and it was very strong, but we had a response from the community, and I want to make sure everyone is aware of, and we want to try and remedy it. A community survey was conducted, and it came back with varying opinions about how much impact the blowout had, what health issues you are concerned about, what you want the health study to consider. However, and I'm sorry to report that only 35 residents from Porter Ranch were included in that 400 people survey. The concern from the community was Porter Ranch, as one of the most impacted communities, was terribly underrepresented in this survey. And the CAG, while we did have directionally parts to do with the survey, was unaware of how minor the respondent participation was. So we had a conversation today with Department of Public Health to remedy this. And it requires some collaboration with the neighborhood council. So if you guys, and I really urge you to get more representation from the community, because Hassan was really, he was like completely dismissive, because he's just one of your best minds, and he was like dismissive of the whole survey. He didn't think it was worthwhile. So there's really some serious concerns. So the remedy, let me cut to it. I apologize for being long-winded. The remedy, the suggested remedy, is to do an email push to the community and ask them to participate in an online survey, the same survey, but online, so that we can go back and say, we did the one study of a very, very broad, North San Fernando Valley. Now let's look at the truly impacted ground zero people, because we are confident that their opinions of what they want to look at will be different, or whether or not they were impacted. As an example, the survey came back and said 90% of the people responding were not relocated. 90% were not relocated. So that's not a representation of those that were truly impacted by the Aliso Canyon blowout. So if the board thinks it's a good idea, I'd like to, Miran and I would like to work with you to push out this survey in hopes to getting 100, 200 or more Porter Ranch residents responding to what's important to them.
You there, Craig?
I am. Did
okay, you stopped.
Well, yeah, I was wrapping it up, David. I don't want to be mindful of your time. Again, I want to bring other issues. Guys, the health study's not going well. Okay, it's not, and you need to be brought up to speed in a more elaborate way of the concerns. I feel like I've got to keep it narrow tonight because of time constraints. And so the most pertinent issue is solving this survey of the impacted community. And that's why the email push is being recommended. But you need the board to support it and want to do it.
But when we have our meeting, we will have you come out and join us on this, okay?
Okay. Is there someone we can follow up on to do the outreach, or does it need to go through the board? What's the best way to move forward?
This is Lori. Isn't it possible for him to just send me an email and we can use my outreach platform to just get the email out and also post on Facebook?
That's fine.
Works for us.
All right, thanks. Just send me an email, Craig.
Will do, Lori. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lori. Okay, I have a couple more hands. 1 second. Okay. We have number ending in 386. I'm going to unmute you. Hello, 386, are you there? Can you hear me?
Unmute him again. It keeps muting it back. Keep unmuting it.
Try again.
It has like a,
So there you go.
Okay, now, yeah, here you go.
Go ahead. Good evening.
Can you hear me?
386. Yes.
Yes, this is Gary Fordyce. I attended your meeting ever so briefly the other night.
Thank you,
and
Gary, for
tonight,
attending that.
Yeah, as short as it was. As my problem tonight is I was not accepted into your meeting, and that I'm not a happy camper about that. And being on the phone, I can't see screen sharing. I can't see who's there. It's almost like, why am I here? So I wanted to let you know the situation.
what number are you using? Are you using the 947-835-11596? On Friday's agenda?
Let me go back and look.
The link on the agenda takes you directly into, oh, Mehran is saying no.
I tried to call, it's not going through.
Yeah, people are trying to log on. They
It's the
can't get
number
in.
ending
So.
in- It's the number 947.
947-835-11596 pound.
Yes, yes. The host has declined your webinar registration. I have a screenshot of it.
Well, I haven't, I'm the acting host tonight. I haven't declined anybody.
Well,
I'm
maybe
not-
what we need to do is have to do a test run before our meeting next time. Just
Well,
to-
we did. We did.
Two
We didn't
test
have a
runs.
problem with accessing it.
But even Miran was having a problem getting in.
This is the error people are getting right here. I don't know if anybody can see it.
Can we apologize to Gary? You know,
Of course.
We are
You know
sorry, Gary.
Gary's attended our traffic meeting.
we're sorry because, you know, we're new to this. Esam used to run everything and, you know, we're trying to work through. So we apologize. Is there anything we can do to him now or not really?
I guess, I mean, I can't, if you're going to screen share, I can't see it. All I can do is listen.
He wants,
Nothing's being shared on screen now. You're not missing any exhibits, for example.
All you're missing is our faces, you know, and
no, but he needs to see what's on the screen. That's
So I
important.
get it. And
we're working. We'll
Can we promote him as a panelist? Will that help?
go ahead. I don't have a problem with that.
I don't have.
not on the phone. He needs to come through the app.
You can do that while I'm on the phone.
If you come through the app, I'll have Assad turn you into a panel. Matter of fact, Assad, anybody that comes in via that, the 947-835-11596, please, we can make them panelists. That's fine. And just
Yeah.
mute them.
And Francis,
There you go.
All right. I will have to leave the phone and log out and log back in the other way. I'll give it a try.
Thank you.
I just tried it on my cell phone. I'm in with the 947 through the Zoom app.
Francis
me-
has her hand up.
Let me have another question. I have a question from Lynn calling in. Let me unmute Lynn. Lynn, good evening. Can you hear me?
She's muted.
I am trying to unmute her.
Hello,
there
can
you
you hear
Hello,
me?
Lynn. Good evening.
Just speak. You do it.
Hi, I'm trying to connect Rebecca Levesque into this, but it's not letting. It's saying each time we try to go into the Zoom, it's a thing is popping up saying that you guys are declining her entry.
We're not, and we were trying to figure out what's happening. Can you ask Becky if she put in, the code that we had posted was 947-835-11596.
Yeah.
And we can,
Yeah, that's the code we were putting in the whole time, and it wasn't working at all. It kept saying you guys are declining her entry.
I'm not declining anybody. We're
I'm not
in the
declining
middle of the
anybody.
meeting.
Just say, well, that's what it's
That
saying.
yeah, that's
No,
what
I
the
get it.
notification-
I get
I
it.
just got in on a second line instantaneously.
I know you said, if I may, Mr. President Pro Tem, may I speak?
Yes, Becky, good evening.
You're
Thank
not
you.
allowing me to get into the meeting. And there are a lot of people standing in the wings who are not being allowed to get into the meeting. And it's very important that Becky Levesque as a board member, the Porter Ranch Neighborhood Council, be allowed by you to get into the meeting. So you need to figure out how you can get me into this meeting. Because I haven't been able, it is now 7 o'clock. The meeting started at 6:15. For 45 minutes, I've texted other members on our board saying, I can't get in. How do I get in? And I'm not being let in. And it says, and I have a screenshot of it,
No,
that
I
you
understand,
aren't letting
Becky.
me in. So you need to let me in. And there are other people.
You're in now.
Becky?
I think we promoted everybody to panelists now.
Yes,
Everybody's
Becky's
a panelist.
I got on in a second line in 30 seconds. It was cake. So I don't, that's me. You see my name listed twice. I'm going to hang that line up, but it
That's
worked
okay.
fine for me.
Let me go to Glenn, and
I don't see
please
Becky.
accept my apology, everybody. This is my first run. I have Assad on the jar, who's my co-host. He sees everything that I see. So let me reach out to Glenn Bailey. He has his hand up.
Maybe he can help us on this.
Yes.
Glenn, do you know how to do it in Zoom, please? Oh, here is Glenn.
Glenn, thank you.
Yeah, I can only report that when I first logged on, it didn't accept me. It didn't accept my email address, the email address you have on for record for me, but I did change the email address, and then I was able to get it on via the, not by phone, but by the computer. So it seems like there's different people having maybe different, but I've never had a situation where it didn't like my email address. In fact, I don't remember being ever asked to enter my email address, but I'm on, and I appreciate it. And I do have just a couple thoughts to share with you. And I know I'm sorry, I don't have a solution. I mean, after I do my comments, I can sign off and try to sign on just using the browser, using zoom.us, and that brings up a box where you then can put in the meeting ID, and I could see if that works rather than the link. But again, I used the link on your agenda, got up, and got stopped by the email address, but I put the alternate email, and then I was able to get it. So
This is
I don't know.
this is the email. This is the number we've always
David, I
used.
just connected through my phone on the Zoom app. I don't know. I mean,
yeah.
We'll turn it off.
So anybody that's unable to get in, my apology. I asked Assad to bring everybody in that's a panelist on straight in.
Is Becky in yet? Because is she under Lynn?
she's under Lynn, and she's a panelist.
I don't think there's anything anybody, Dave or Assad, is doing intentionally to not let people in. It's just a weird glitch.
Assad, you have to
That's
mute
the strange
that other
thing.
phone. Mute that other phone, Assad, because it's echoing.
Okay, so everybody's in. Becky's in, I think, as Lynn. Becky, are you there?
Can you confirm, Becky?
Yeah,
Becky, are you
I'm here, but the question that I have that's kind of odd, we have 10 board members and only 16 people on this meeting. That just seems a little unusual for me. So there's got to be something going on. And people need to be.
I don't know about that. I mean, how do you know that there's other people out there?
Well, because you hit participants and it tells you how many people are on, and it says there's 16 participants, which include the people on our neighborhood council. So it just pops up on the screen. We need to be able to get everybody in. The full attendee list, there's no attendees. There's just 16 people. There's Saul Daniels, there's Assad, there's Maron, there's Lori, there's Lee, there's Gabriel, David, Jason.
Becky, they moved everyone from.
I'm speaking. There's Glenn, there's Assad, there's Brian, there's Francis, David, and me. So where's the other people? Because people are calling me, they can't get on.
Who?
Becky, they moved all of us.
I'm not naming names, but I'm not the only one that can't get on. And I'm a board member. How many board members are on? I can't tell. And I haven't been able to get on till a couple minutes ago.
Becky, were you entering the meeting via your Zoom application or
Yes.
an internet browser?
Both.
Okay.
I tried every single way. I tried by my phone, and I got my grandson and his, and they came and they got me on through their phone. And then once they just punched it and you guys picked them up. But my name was there and nobody picked me up. So that's
Steven?
how I got on, was through my grandson. He used his cell phone number.
Hey, Becky, this is Lori. I never saw your name pop up. I've been monitoring the attendees list and channels list too. So apologies. Something must be very glitchy tonight because
I'm not saying that you guys did it intentionally, Lori, but what I'm saying is if I can't get on as a board member using everything I was sent, there must be other people out there who can't. Well, I just heard Gary Fordyce. How
Right.
many other people
Gary
can't
is
get
on.
on?
Gary is on the meeting, Becky. So what evidence do you have that there's other people still out there so we can help them get in?
I'm talking about myself, and I'm not going to give names.
But
I'm
you're
talking
giving
for
names.
myself. But what I'm saying is, why wouldn't you guys let me on? Is there a reason? Is there a glitch? I understand
Yes.
if there's a glitch.
Yes.
I know there's a new people in charge.
We're trying
And
to
I-
figure this out.
But what I'm saying is, Assad's in charge. He's not. my
Assad is not in
biggest
charge.
fan.
Assad, Becky, drop it.
I
Assad
think
is not in
Assad-
charge of anything.
Please,
Okay.
please, Assad, stop. I'm speaking. I don't know why you aren't letting me on. Are all the board members on? How many board members are on?
You
We have
are
60
on.
people.
You are
Okay.
on.
Thank
All
you.
right, I'm going to be muting
I'm
everybody at this time. We need to,
I'm not here to argue. I just couldn't get on.
okay. Can we move on with the meeting? Everybody's here. Everybody and then people can now, if they have a question, they can raise their hand, they can speak. We have Brian Allen here. Brian Allen has his hand up. I'd like to bring Brian Allen in. We have Becky here. So let's move on with this. And like I said, when I first started this meeting tonight, I asked everybody, since this was new, to work with me so we can move through this. And I am moving through with this. We're doing our very best. I put out the agenda properly, and everybody has their own call-in number that Esam had given everybody previously. And if you didn't have it, you could call in with this Zoom number 947-835-11596. If we are having a glitch, I will be on with Dunn first thing tomorrow morning to figure out what's going on. But I would like to go forward on this meeting and have no squabbles between our board members. Thank you.
I followed the rule and I couldn't get on. I'm glad I'm on. So
I'm glad
let's
you're
just
here,
move
Becky.
forward.
I'm glad you're here. Thank you so
I'm
much for
sure
attending.
you are. So let's just move forward.
Thank you. All right.
Okay, so you had recognized me for public comment?
Yes, go ahead, Glenn. Thank you very much. I'm not gonna.
Okay, I'm sorry I said that. I just was trying to be helpful.
No, I'm glad you did. I'm glad you're very helpful, Glenn. I'm glad you're here.
Okay.
So please, thank you.
Okay, so I just wanted to comment on two items now. One is the Congress of Neighborhoods. I wanted to acknowledge and publicly thank the Porter Ranch Neighborhood Councils as being one of the top 3 neighborhood councils in terms of the number of board members registered for the entire city for last month's Congress of Neighborhoods. And that's especially impressive because you have a relatively small board compared to some of the neighborhood councils that have 21 board members. So that's number one. Number two, the Congress of Neighborhoods, I think for our first virtual attempt, went off pretty smoothly as far as the plenary session and then the 7 networking breakout sessions. And I just wanted to report to you and to the stakeholders who are interested, is because you had to choose from amongst the 7 networking sessions, that all of everything was recorded, and those recordings are now up on the Congress website so that you can see the sessions you could only be at one place at once unless you're really talented. And so you can view those, and that's at the website www.nccongressla.com. So feel free to visit those. Also, just let you know, the Congress Planning Committee is having a second wrap-up session, just kind of evaluate how things went. And we are looking at the possibility, rather than waiting a whole year for the next Congress, of possibly having quarterly workshops on topics that neighborhood councils give us input on things that are not now being addressed by the other neighborhood council alliances or by the Department of Neighborhood Empowerment, things that may be of interest to you. So it'd be not another Congress, but maybe a workshop or two every quarter. Okay, so keep that in mind, give your input. Obviously, there's some topics like planning and land use that Plan Check NC deals with every single month. So maybe it'd be a topic that's not currently being addressed. I'm just throwing that out there. The other thing I just want to close with has to do with our 2021 Neighborhood Council elections. And just a reminder that we're in Region 2 and our election date has been set for April 27th. And you should have received from the city clerk a election information worksheet, which is due on November 13th, in which you select your ballot drop-off location within your neighborhood council, as well as any translation languages in addition to English, Spanish, and Korean that you may wish. And I mentioned that to you with a primary interest to let you know that of the 8 neighborhood councils in Region 2, 6 are participating in the election process, and stakeholders in all the areas will be able to use the drop boxes of any of the other neighborhood councils within our region on that day. So if a stakeholder, say, lives in Porter Ranch, but say works in Granada Hills, or vice versa, they could use the Dropbox. So I just put that out there so that we share the information in our outreach. I know it's a ways before then, but I wanted you to just kind of keep that in mind as you choose your Dropbox location, that don't be concerned if it's like too far this way or that way, if you know that a neighborhood council to the south or to the east is also having one. And if you have any questions on the 2021 election, I'd be happy to work with your election committee chair or otherwise your point persons. Thank you very much.
Glenn, can you shed more about the media, social media proposal, the 90-day one?
Yes, just really briefly.
Thank you.
For reasons probably over a period of time where some folks have come to some neighborhood council people have come to the Board of Neighborhood Commissioners, or from other sources of input, a draft policy, which is called the.
You know, I need to interject. I'm sorry, but you know, we can't be asking questions during public comment, and you know, if we're gonna do it, you know, I think that it would be more appropriate for Dunn to answer that question during, you know, my apologies, Glenn. We
No, it's
appreciate
fine.
the knowledge,
I
but we have
would
to be fair to all parties because, like Suzette, you know, we didn't, you know,
Right.
we have to treat everybody equal. So
I get it. Yeah, I didn't know Gibson was on the call. That's great.
He's not on the call, but hopefully he will be. But I think that could be taken care of offline because during public comment, we need to just be a comment.
Thank you, Jason.
Okay, you are allowed to ask brief clarifying questions, but you're right, this was a different subject than what I commented on. So thank you. I'll listen to the rest of your meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Glenn. Do we have any more public comments out there? So do you see anything else? Any other hands? You know what? I'm going to jump her back for budget advocate. If you guys don't mind, we have Mr. Feruzman scheduled for 7:30. So if you guys don't mind, we could either like to go ahead and go back to, if we can. Oh, you know what? Let's go. Assad, are you ready to move forward on your item?
What number?
8. Oh, you know, I'm sorry.
8 is
Excuse me.
done.
I'm just, hold on, give me a second.
9 is board member updates and committee reports.
Give me 1 second there, Jace. Thank you very much. Let me remute you. All right. We're moving around.
David,
Yes.
Gary Fordyce raised his hand again.
Oh, where's?
He's an attendee.
I know, we'll find him. So can you release Gary's?
Can you hear me?
We can
Hi,
hear you, Gary. How are you?
Yes, I'm sorry to have to update you, but I did everything possible to follow your instruction, and I left the phone and went back to the Zoom, and it didn't accept me, and now I'm back on the phone, and effectively I have now missed exactly 1 hour of your meeting. It is now 7:15.
Well, the good news,
That's all I
Gary,
had to say.
please accept my apology. And this meeting is being recorded, and it can be seen on the website as soon as we post it. So please accept my apology, because I do appreciate everything that you provide to the community. Your input for the traffic and safety has been of value. So I appreciate it. And if you'd like to stay on listening, because we're having glitches, and I'm doing my very best tonight. So I appreciate you being at the meeting tonight, Gary.
All right, thank you.
If yes.
David,
Yes, Becky.
I'd just
Yes,
like
Becky.
to ask a question.
Please, go ahead, Becky. Thank you.
I'm not quite sure of the, and I know that this is all new for this, since Assam is no longer here, but it seems that certain board members are just allowed to speak and not mute themselves without being recognized by the president. Can I do the same thing? I can just say whatever I want, or should I mute myself until acknowledged by the president to speak? I'm just asking what the procedure is here.
Well,
Because
the
I'm
procedure-
noticing a lot of board members are speaking without being recognized by the president, and they're not unmuting themselves. They're just speaking at will. Can I do that too?
Becky, you can always do anything, but I think what's happening tonight, and I appreciate your input and your question. I think everybody's just trying to help me get through this meeting. We didn't have any issues with the Zoom previously, but for some reason I am having issues with the Zoom tonight. And I think everybody on the board is trying to help this out. The board members know that they are supposed to be muted until they're acknowledged by the president. So I think we'll just step back and we'll continue with the meeting, and everybody will be muted until they raise their hand and acknowledged by the president. So I
Okay,
appreciate
Mr.
your input.
President, I understand that, and I think that's a very good idea. I think all board members should mute themselves until recognized by the president, so we just don't have random people making statements. Okay,
agree.
and so my random statement is going to be muted. I hope that you follow, I hope that happens, because I don't think everybody should have the same right that you do as the president. Thank you.
Thank you, Becky. I'm gonna move on to committee reports, because we have to grab a little bit more time until Mr. Feruzman shows up. Assad, can you check to make sure Ken is able to get in? Thank you. We're gonna go ahead with board reports. Lori, would you like to start with the board report? Oh, yeah.
Sorry, did you hear me?
Yes, go ahead, Lori.
Now my mute's being weird.
You're there.
Yeah, I'm here. So my item is actually coming up on the agenda for the outreach. I really don't have anything else to add until we get to my item, I guess.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you very much.
Wait, one more quick thing. I just want to mention the animal shelter. I'm waiting for the animal shelter item from the West Valley to show up on the committee from the city council, but I have yet to see that happen. So if anyone out there wants to give CD12 a phone call to find out when that is expected to come up on their agenda, that would be helpful. Thank you.
Let me reach out to Becky to see if Becky would like to have input on the board reports or community reports. Becky, would you like to speak? Becky? Unmute yourself.
David, I think you need to mute that 386 phone number.
Okay, can you hear me now?
I can hear you loud and clear, Becky. Thank you.
Okay, no, just go ahead and move on.
Thank you. David Lasher, do you have any committee reports?
No, I don't, not today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Hector.
All right. I just want to mention, the statistics are coming out for California. We had 4.1 million acres burned in California, and just a little concerned because we have a big wildfire issue here in Porter Ranch, and so I just want to bring that to everybody's attention. 31 people died throughout California, and we had a fire today in Sepulveda Basin, and we had one in Chatsworth right on the hill, I think 2 days ago. So, it's something that we ought to look at, whether it be a town hall or doing more work and preparing. But the fires are going to be here, and hopefully we can get through the season. And then I also want to clarify on the trees that were planted. So those trees were planted as part of the urban forestry blitz. So they send out a form every year to the neighborhood council, which I filled out, and they allow us to either do potholes or tree planting. So we chose tree planting. And at the time they were supposed to do it, the trees had not been in. They didn't have them ordered yet. So they told me we need to order the trees. And then they informed me that, okay, the trees came in, so that's why they were planted. Plus, you want to plant them this time of year now. It's actually kind of early because it's still so hot. But, the closer to November, the better with tree planting. So I just want to let you know that was part of the urban forestry blitz, which we did a CIS long time ago recommending that they add things like stump removal and tree planting and things like that. So they did actually take our advice on our CIS. So that was very good to see. And then as far as the trees that were planted along Rinaldi, my understanding, it was about 50 trees they planted along Rinaldi. My understanding is that was because when we took out the 22 trees on Tampa, you're supposed to replant 2 to 1. 2 to 1. So it would have been 44 trees. Urban forestry did not require us to do that. They did the planting themselves. So that's my understanding of the 50 trees were as a result of the removal of those 22 trees. So those are the replants. So I just want to kind of clarify.
We have a question from Becky.
Oh, it's not a question. It's just a comment.
Okay, go ahead.
I just want to make sure that all of us realize that the majority of these fires are not started by lightning, that they're started by people. And I think that we need to look into why that's happening. And based on what Jason has said, I think that's a really important thing to think about. When you see that there's a fire in a certain area, how did it get started? Because that's where we can help and stop those fires from happening. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Becky. Glenn has his hand up.
Yes, thank you. Question for Jason. So I got the memo, urban forestry, only 5 neighborhood councils elect for that. Porter Ranch was one of those, Northridge East and West Hills were the 3 in the valley. My question, Jason, is for the blitz, which, if I were to go look at them, where would I find are they identifiable as to which trees were planted due to the blitz versus do you know which species? Thank you.
Thank you for that information, Glenn. I don't know how you got it, but you have your ways. Perhaps they were responsive to our CIS that we filed with their council file. But to answer your question, there's a sheet that you fill out, and we chose the locations of Tampa because that's a difficult place to water. You have that huge hill, and there's no way you're going to get a garden hose down that hill, when you go Tampa north of Rinaldi. So, that seemed like a no-brainer. Also, with all the trees that we lost from the bark beetle. And then as far as species, they determine species based on what they want to do, urban forestry. And you have to, those Canary Island pines are very tolerant of the heat. I have some here, and they can really take the heat very well and the drought very well. And they also are what we already have. So you have to think about continuity and aesthetics. You know, if you have Canary Island pines and then now all of a sudden you have, you know, sycamores or some other kind of tree, it doesn't look right. So, you know, you look for continuity. That's my understanding, but I know people don't like the pine needles, but there's always something you're not going to like, you know, with the tree, right? You want the shade, but then you don't like the leaves or you don't like the, you know, so.
Jason, I have one more question coming in from 386. Let me unmute 386 one more time, please.
I think that might be me, Becky.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Okay. And my question is, Jason, I noticed along Rinaldi that there are a lot of new trees planted. And it's just a question. Are those canary pines?
Yeah, those are the Canary Island pines. They're all Canary Island pines, and that's, you know, that's what we have on Rinaldi. That's what we have on Tampa. We have other species on Wilbur and Cessnon. So I would imagine if they decide to plant up there, they would probably keep it the same species. You know, up there we have the bottle brush and the pink one, I forget the name, but yeah, those are all Canary Island pines. And I didn't even know about it. They just put them in. Actually, it was Andrew Crown who told me about it. But I would imagine those are from the replacement trees for the work that we did with the.
Okay, but there were a lot that, I don't know that those were, you know, they could have been. I'm not quite sure that they were all replacement pines, but if I call them
They're
canary
new.
pines because I've lived here for 40 plus years, and that's what we always called them. So please excuse that I don't have the right term.
called
But
Canary Island
they
pines.
lift sidewalks and they lift streets and they have all kinds of issues.
I know.
So, okay, so just wanted to know why they chose that particular tree.
They know, and I know, and everybody knows. And so I think, you know, what I've been recommending is that they come back now and cut the sidewalks wider. You know, those should be 4x8, not 4x4. But, you know, they do what they want. And, you know, we're great. I'm personally grateful that we have trees. But yeah, you know, it's a tough decision.
Well, I can just tell you that I'm grateful for you that you're on top of all of this, and I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. And I'm going to sign off.
Thank you,
Becky. Thank you, Jason.
Very kind.
We have about 5 more minutes until Mr. Ken Feruzman with LEDOT comes on. Glenn Bailey, would you be available to give a budget advocate report, or who's going to be here for budget advocate? I know I'm skipping around, but
Brian will.
Okay, great. Let me see Brian then. Give me a second.
I'm here.
Oh, there you are, Brian. You got 5 minutes for us. Talk to me, Brian. Thank you.
Let's not use it.
You missed Assad. You didn't give Assad a chance to do his report.
No. We're skipping around because, but thank you, Jason.
Sorry.
Are we good?
Yes, we are. Please, Brian.
Okay. As far as the budget advocates report, I'm not going to bore you with some of the details. I know there is a report that if you haven't got it yet, I'll be happy to forward this to you. It's a budget advocate report to neighborhood councils, and it goes over a lot of the stuff that we've already talked about. We still have the mystery of how much money are we not going to get through this pandemic, and you know, people are guessing. We're all guessing. I'm guessing. There's some thought about it between 200 and 400 million, but I'm not sure that anybody really knows at the moment. We did have a little bit of controversy in the budget advocates because Dunn was asked by the mayor. Well, all the departments were asked by the mayor to do another round of cuts, 3%. They came up with an idea. They tried to cut the funds of the Empower LA Congress and budget advocates, and that was shut down by the CAO. So that issue went away, but Dunn is still trying to find a way to cut $84,000. Those things are kind of to be expected. The Dunn did a little bit of history on the budget advocates. If you'd like to know more about that, we'll be happy to forward that to you. The budget advocates are trying very hard to move forward. It's been difficult. It's been difficult because we've been sidetracked with other issues within the budget advocates, and so we're trying to work through those in order to move forward. But there are movements forward. There are many committees that are established this year that are not normal committees, meaning normal being meet with the department and make a report on the department. So you'll hear more about that, and you're certainly welcome to go to our website and check out the committees that are there. And little things are happening, like we've updated our website. I think it's still a little bit in process. We're trying to have a town hall, and while we wanted to have it quarterly, by this time in the year, we haven't done a quarterly one, so don't look for 4 of them, but we all hope that there will be a town hall that everyone can join in and provide your input to. It should happen hopefully before the end of this year. I'm not going to ideas.
So, Brian, we have a question, but Becky, you have your hand up. Do you have a question, Becky? Hold on one second. I'm trying to unmute you. You can unmute yourself.
But it's not, okay, are you there? I just wanted to make a special comment. Ken Feruzamon, his name is misspelled on the agenda. And Francis, if you're taking the notes tonight, if you could get the correct spelling of his last name, because that is incorrect how it is posted on our agenda. And I really feel a person's name is really important.
It is, and I forgot the R there when I redid it, but I got it through the first.
I'm not sure it's just the R. I think you need, if you got, and I'm not blaming anyone. I just want to make sure that we give him due respect.
Absolutely,
Becky. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you. All right, Jason.
Hi, Brian.
Hi.
So is the budget advocates overseen by Dunn? Is that, and they're sort of an alliance? I'm trying to understand how.
Negative.
No?
Negative. They are not overseen. There is nobody that oversees the budget advocates. This has come out now in a report by Dunn. The budget advocates are not an established, when I say established, they are not set up by the city. They are a separate entity, much like an alliance. And there is no entity that actually oversees the budget advocates. Now, whether that's good or bad, it's just a fact at the moment. And it's something we are wrestling with ourselves. And the budget advocates this year have a lot of issues to work through as a group. And you've been in some of the meetings, so you're aware of that.
I've seen it, Brian. And I want to basically thank you for, we did work on that one, letter. And I want to thank you because, really, I want to impress upon you guys are doing a great job. And I know a lot of other areas are complaining that they're not getting representation, but we are getting plenty of representation. And I just implore upon you to keep them within their charter, within their scope, because what I see happening is a lot of straying away from advocating with the city budget. The budget advocates need to simply focus on advocating within specific areas of the city and advocating for our community, for our North Valley. So, I will fight for that. And, you're essentially our representative. So I'm sure you agree. We need to focus on matters that are within the budget and not these, I see a lot of other things coming across the agendas that are not necessarily, the job of budget advocates is not to educate, it's not to take a position on things that are political, so I hope that they get this all squared away. There's way too much. If you look at the actual time that is spent discussing budget matters, it's really was kind of frustrating. you know, that there's such a minimal lack of time, but I'm sure it'll get straightened out. And there is a meeting tomorrow, right? And not what time is
Yes,
it?
yes, there is.
Yeah. So I'll try and be on the meeting, but keep up the good work. Thank you, Brian.
Look, I want to share as an individual that I agree with you in most of what you're saying. But the budget advocates as a whole, if they do their job right, they will encounter issues as we did today, which are outside the purview of budget advocates. But on the other side of that coin, the fact that we get involved in other things could allow us to assist the NCs to know a little more about what they can and should be involved in, which that information is very good. And the budget advocates have a lot of passion, all of them, including the new people that we may or may not agree with. But your comment about how we address your council and others in Region 2 is appreciated, and from my perspective, very true. We, the three budget advocates for Region 2, Glenn, Gary, and myself, we are the only region in the city out of 12. We are the only region that is responsive to our councils. And I can tell you that we're not responsive enough, because you and David and a girl named Heather in Granada Hills South are all interested in having a meeting. We need to set up that meeting. We have not done that yet, and bring in the reps from the other councils as well. So we're still very active at trying to pull that through, but we're also extremely busy ourselves. So.
All right, Brian, I gotta thank you for your time, for reaching out to us.
No problem.
I need to move on. Thank you very much. At this time, I'd like to introduce Mr. Ken Feruzman with the.
Asher wants to say one thing, I think. He's got his hand raised. Or is that for Ken?
We have to move on.
No, that's for Ken.
Not for Ken. I was just wondering if the fan could be removed
David,
from
we
the
need to move on.
gallery screen.
You want me to do the introduction, David?
Please.
Yeah, so it takes me a pleasure to introduce to you Ken Feruzman from our LADOT West Valley District. He's a professional engineer, and for the past 3 decades have done wonderful job with the Department of Transportation. He's involved in the design of intersection, upgrades of intersection, safe routes to school, and I think he's involved in almost every single intersection we had in the over 10,000 miles in the city. With that, my colleagues and Mr. President, I introduce to you Engineer Ken Feruzman. Go ahead, Ken,
mute him, please. Mr. Feruzman.
Good evening. Good evening. This is Ken Feruzman from Department of Transportation, and it's a pleasure to be able to join you guys in this meeting. So I am stand by to ask any question you guys may have. And Mr. Assad sent me some concern and question you guys had. I can go through those items first if you guys prefer, or I could just stand by to you guys ask the question, however you guys prefer.
I think this is David Balin. I think the questions that we sent forward, and then after that, I think the board or the community first, then the board would have questions. So please, if you can, I believe we sent 3 questions, Assad?
It's more than that.
Okay, well, please, Ken, you have the floor, and please educate us. Thank you.
Sure. Absolutely. One of the intersections is Amigo and Rinaldi, and the 1A10 on and off ramp. And you guys may be aware of that, all the history and what we've been through that intersection. As you guys may know, anytime at any intersection we have on and off ramp of the freeway, Caltrans has the ownership of that intersection. So that was our frustration to work with Caltrans. Caltrans, I heard different story, but I like Caltrans because they make us look good. Everybody says city is difficult. I say go work Caltrans, and after that you can appreciate the city. So we got the same frustration. Everybody goes with Caltrans. I personally worked them so many times on this intersection, personally had meeting with them, and it's very difficult to convince them something. But eventually, is a couple of years ago, we come with agreement that we have to change the operation at this intersection. And finally, Caltrans agreed, and they run the project, and we checked it, that intersection under construction by Caltrans. And I was so pleased to see that one. And I'm sure most of you guys, if drive through, you see they already put the pole and you put the mast arm, so it's almost the middle of the construction. That was the item one. And the second item was Porter Ranch north of driveway. We called it the Toys R Us driveway. And that was another difficult intersection. As part of the shopping center on the west side of the Porter Ranch, which is a Nordstrom Rack and the movie theater and all the things they had, and they put the condition on approval. They supposed to put the signalized on Rinaldi and also signalize the subject intersection, which is Porter Ranch Toys R Us Drive. But as no matter how many times we told them in the past, they have to line up their driveway with Porter Ranch, so we don't have a jog intersection. The jog intersection was forcing us to do the split face operation. The split face operation means that every approach is gonna come one at a time. It's not very efficient operation. So for some reason, they went to build the driveway on their side without our concurrency. And when it comes to signal design, and we had a big arm wrestle, we told them we cannot signalize it the way they did. So finally, they agree to modify their driveway. And maybe you guys have seen recently, they moved the middle island, they moved the tree, they realigned their driveway with the Toys R Us driveway. Another challenging thing we had over there, the reason is Toys R Us on the bankruptcy process, and we want to put the loops and our signal equipment in that side, and we need the right of entry. But they don't have no ownership, nobody signed it behalf of Toys R Us, and they cannot because the whole thing is in the court. Therefore, we went to HUMP. And we got a lot of pressure from shopping center and council office and community that they want to open the movie theater, they want to open the Nordstrom Rack. So when they told us they have a deadline to open the Nordstrom Rack, we agreed to open it without the signalized as long as we have right turn and right turn not. We told them we cannot let you operate that intersection fully, all the movement without the traffic signal. God forbid, and if there's any accident happen, we all in trouble in liability cases. That's why the condition we're saying is signalized, and we opened it before signal. So as you guys may see, we had a lot of challenges with them, and we were under so many pressure and from every angle do something about it. Anyway, finally, the signal plan been approved, and they realigned their driveway, the civil work, and I asked one of my engineers, checked it a few days ago, and they already opened the foundation for signal, and they gonna signalize it, I think by end of this year. And the only thing is, they want to open the movie theater. So with back and forth with the Bureau of Engineering, Building Safety, and DOT, we got a letter from them. They are not going to run the movie theater in the full capacity because we cannot. So they sent us a letter that they are not going to run the movie theater in full capacity, and maybe under half a capacity. And I also other things in that center is not going to open until that full signal to be installed at location. They had other issue to removing the trees and relocating trees, so it was just one after another. But I'm glad finally all these issues been solved, and we are under construction, and I'm very excited by end of this year, we're gonna turn on that signal, and we're gonna move the condition from that development. Can I move on?
Yes, please.
Please.
Okay. You guys are so quiet. I didn't know you guys are listening to me or I'm talking.
We are in awe with the information that you're providing to us. So thank you. Don't worry, you're going to have questions as soon as you're done, but
no problem.
Thank you so much, Ken.
I just want to make sure the connection hasn't been disconnected. And I don't know, you guys need more detailed information or this much is enough. Otherwise, as you see, it's a lot of history behind that. The third item was Wilbur and Rinaldi. We have authorized the traffic signal, left turn traffic signal at this location. As some of you guys may know, the process is when we got a request from anybody, neighborhood council, mayor office, council office, or citizen, they ask us operational change, we have to conduct the complete study. And we have a guideline policy how we can justify the left turn traffic signal. And this is important item because if we deny the signal or the left turn operation, if God forbid an accident happen, all these attorneys, they love to sue us. That's why we denied it. So it's our position is then we do, then we don't. So we better know what we are doing, how we approved it or how we denied it. But I was happy that we already approved the protected left turn for westbound, northbound, and southbound direction. But as far as when we authorize it, it's like writing a check, but you know that somebody is going to get the money. But the condition is if we have the money in the bank. So it's exactly the same process. When we authorize the traffic signal or left turn operation, you know for sure that's going to happen because been authorized and we signed it up. But now we have to go after the money. Where are we going to find the money to build this signal? And currently we have over $3 million project. We have approved it throughout the city, but we don't have money. So therefore, the money comes challenging. We get the money from federal, state, and city budget. So every year, the federal or state asks us, submit the safety improvement project. We submit it, and we set it as a priority 1, 2, 3, based on the number of accidents and the seriousness and dangerous point of that intersection. And the Winburn and Rinaldi is priority 2 at the current list. And again, a priority list, and now we are working on priority 1. I believe we have around 149 intersection on priority 1. All the project in priority 1 is funded through the state or federal or our own budget. And the priority 2 is second in the line that we have to go get the money. Of course, sometimes they come across a developer and we can use this as a conditional approval. Let the be permittee means that private developer to build that operational change. And I have heard this one vacant lot, I believe if I'm not mistaken, on the northwest corner, is they're trying to do some development and we have an eye on that one. If they come and they have any impact at this intersection, we're gonna try to see if we can put this left turn operational improvement as a condition for that development. But if it's not, we're gonna try everything we can to get the funding from all the sources we may get. So that's for Wilbur and Rinaldi.
Mr. Feruzman, I
sure.
see we have some questions. Would you mind taking a couple questions at this time?
Absolutely.
Becky, I'm going to unmute you because you had your hand up first. Becky?
Okay, great. Mr. Feruzman,
yes.
I have a question, and this is the question on the southeast corner of Wilbur and Rinaldi, where we're putting in a new development. There have been so many fatalities at that intersection. And I know in order to get a stop sign, there need to be fatalities. And I know that the city, it can take 10 years just to get a stop sign or more. What I want to know is at that corner, at that intersection, there have been so many fatalities, and I've witnessed many of them. When the company purchased that property, did they have to pay for some kind of a traffic signal? Because I know that when I've been on the neighborhood council for over 20 years, and I know Porter Ranch for our community center and where all of the places east or west of Tampa, the shopping center, Chappelle, Porter Ranch Industries, had to put money in for stop signs. And I happen to have been told that those stop signs, they took the money, but they didn't put the traffic lights in. So what I'm asking you is, at that corner, did the developer, the person who purchased the property, have to pay for certain types of light signals, certain kinds of stop signs? I have been trying to get a sign that goes from, that goes west on Rinaldi past Wilbur to tell people how fast they're going, because it's a downhill. You don't realize you're picking up speed. So my question is this: the people who purchased the property on the southeast corner, did they have to put money in for a traffic light? And if the question is yes or no, is that going to be implemented?
All right. Well, thank you for your question.
Thank you, sir.
Let me clarify. You use the word stop sign and traffic signal. Those
Right.
as a traffic engineer, two different things. Stop sign is just a regular stop sign, and traffic signal has a light and 3 section heads. So I don't know, your mean is the same way that you were trying to put the stop sign at Winber and Rinaldi. We already have existing traffic signal at that location. All we trying to put the protected left turn, that means it's not a permissive move. We control the left turn and minimize the conflict the left turn with through and minimize the accident. As far as the comment you made, that is, you know that there is got to be accident or fatality, city does something. That's absolutely is not true. We do so many things. It's like, let me mention to you, is like a doctor patient. And the thing is, when somebody has a heart condition, anybody has a chest pain doesn't mean, you know, that person is going to get open heart surgery. The doctor diagnose it. This maybe needs a medication, may need angio, maybe angioplasty, maybe open heart surgery, maybe changing the valve. So many things can be done. And that doesn't mean, the reason I'm saying that, 21 years ago, I got open heart surgery, and I exposed to that one, and I qualify for open heart surgery. I didn't get heart attack, and I usually use that example. So therefore, we are not looking for to see fatality. That's something against our belief. That's against our pride as a traffic engineer. But when we evaluate a location at intersection, we put every single thing in that intersection under magnifying glass, such as visibility, number of the traffic is going, and the number of the lanes. And one of them is the history of the accident. What type of accident we have, how many accidents we have, and those accidents are correctable with traffic control device. As you may know, every single accident is not correctable. For example, a drunk driver and didn't stop at the red and went kill somebody, no matter what I do, I cannot correct that one. And so therefore, is one of the things, the same thing I am talking doctor patient, when the doctor evaluate me to look at it, did I get a heart attack in the past? How many times I got heart attack? They are not waiting for me, I get heart attack, they give me open heart surgery, but they need to know the history. So therefore, we do the same thing. And when we see the pattern of the accident that is correctable, we do not wait a second. That's the reason we are responsible to go to authorize the protected left turn or whatever we need to do. So therefore, we have done that one. As far as you mentioned the property, I may be misspoken. I thought it's southwest. You're telling it's southeast. And I'm sure you are correct. On the southeast, the way they do it, as in the introduction they mentioned, I'm in charge of operation, but the DOT has planning section. So when a developer comes, they evaluate it to see what type of impact this development is going to have. So they require street widening, they have the lane change, they make a double left or widening the road to make a right turn lane and put the traffic signal, make it operational change, all the above. And sometimes they can find any mitigation. They put the money on the trust money for some neighborhood or community traffic improvement. So that's our NADOT planning is evaluated, and they have a guideline policy. So therefore, I don't think they have submitted any traffic study for that site yet. But as I mentioned, I have an eye on that one, and I am working with NADOT planning to give them heads up that project is coming, make sure that evaluated very clearly, and if they have any impact on the Windber and Rinaldi intersection, I have a left turn operation has been approved, and we can tab it in and put as a condition so they do for us. That's one of the fastest and quickest way, and doesn't cost us any money because we put condition on them. But again, we cannot put a condition, our problem to them, if they don't have any impact on that one. So we are
Well,
working
if I may just interject, I do
Sure.
know that LAPD Valley Traffic has numbers for intersections on how many fatalities have occurred. And I know that there have been quite a few fatalities at that intersection. And I guess my question is, did the developer have to put money toward a more improved traffic light? And are your department going to implement that? Because there have been countless fatalities at that intersection from people going north to south because of the inclines of the hills. There's no traffic sign on the east side of Rinaldi and Wilbur, which says how fast you're going, so you can slow down if you're going fast. And if you're going a little fast, people are running the intersection and killing people. And at Braymore and Wilbur, which is one of the intersections that was brought up, there was a person killed because Wilbur is a pretty quiet street for the most part north of Rinaldi. And I think it's so important, Mr. Feruzman, that you know that. And people think, oh yeah, I can speed. I can go and street race because it's such a quiet street. But on Christmas Eve last year, there was someone killed at Braymore and Wilbur because somebody was speeding and didn't slow down when someone was making a left-hand turn off of Braymore onto Wilbur. So I think my question is, did the person who purchased the property pay money to have a more improved traffic light, like a three-way signal, or not? And I guess, and you'll probably have to look into that because there's a whole lot of stuff going on in this city for you. I'm not saying you should be able to do it off the top of your head, but I would really love it if you could look into that and get back to our neighborhood council.
Absolutely. But as I mentioned, let me
You're
add
awesome. Thank you so much.
But let me add it one thing you mentioned, is you mentioned all the fatality. Every fatality.
All the what?
You mentioned some people died or fatality at that intersection. I just wanted to, as your information, every fatality in the West Valley, the day after or in 48 hours, come to my office. And I take a look at it, the the PD's traffic accident report, and analyze it, the nature of the accident, why that accident happened. So therefore, that's the reason we have authorized it, the protected left turn for westbound, northbound, and southbound. At 3 directions, we made it protected. So we're gonna do it as soon as we find the money. As far as the developer, they're gonna pay for it or they're gonna do it. As I mentioned, they have not submitted any traffic study yet because they purchased it. We don't know what they're gonna do it there. Are they building residential, commercial? Is it 10-story, 2-story? All of them has the nature of the impact. As soon as they knock our door and they submit the environmental study, we're gonna know what they have and what condition that our planning section is gonna put. So, and another thing is you mentioned the PD. I have access every single accident the PD or and sheriff or whoever did it. So when we do a study, I have last 10 years accident record. Every single accident we go analyze it. How this happened, why this happened, and some of the accident is not clear. I go to send a memo to PD, ask them the traffic accident report. That means a detailed report, how did it happen? And if some fatality or some people died, which I experienced so many of them, that one of happened in Van Olden, the guy was 2.5 times drunk, suspended driver license, didn't stop at the stop sign and killed somebody. So that way, as I mentioned, it's very sad, but if those are the thing, is, as you know, is the sad thing in the society, like somebody took a gun and killed somebody. How can we stop this? So same thing in a car accident. Even I put 10 signal or 10 left turn arrow, the guy is drunk, didn't stop. But beside that, we doing it. And as I mentioned, at 3 locations, we have authorized it and we're gonna take care of it as soon as we get the money.
Thank you, Ken. You've got a lot of questions coming in. So I'm gonna unmute Jason Hector. Jason.
Hello, Mr. I got it. Okay. Hello, Mr. Feruzman. Thank you for attending our meeting. We're very appreciative of this discussion. This is an issue we've been working on, and I've done substantial research on it. As far as the development, our land use committee attended the hearings for that development, and as far as I know, they're building an office building there. And as far as I know, there weren't too many conditions, and the report that came from DOT, which I do not have, but I'm sure you could access, and we saw it at the hearing, did not require, as I could be wrong, but it did not put any requirements on them. So that's the answer to Becky's question, as far as I know, is that the letter that we observed did not. So, you know, in an effort of transparency, it would be helpful if we have access to that information. But I did make some Freedom of Information Act requests, and I did request SR number 76154, 81820, and 88204. I requested all 3 of those, and these are old, and actually they were a priority number 3. And the only recommendation on these reports was to do a westbound direction. So it's my pleasure to hear now that you're recommending west, north, and south. That's a substantial improvement. And one of the arguments that, you know, or what came to mind was, you know, we need to update the traffic study because it was back in 2017 that they made that recommendation. So is there a subsequent report or SR number or traffic study that was done? Because this report does include a traffic study, and it was done back in 2017, because the goal is to get the most current information, right? It seems to us as a community, as a board, we want to have the most current traffic information so that you can do your job and figure out what's recommended. So is there some kind of subsequent reports that I don't have that give a priority number 2? I'll just leave it at that. That's my question at this point.
Sure. As I mentioned, is the LA DOT planning section evaluate any development and the impact. And the impact, they have a guideline and they have a threshold. If you pass that threshold, that the number of the trip, number of the traffic, you bring in a certain intersection or certain road that is trigger to improvement. If it's not, we don't have the blank check, do whatever we want, because they have the attorney, they have a guideline. He say, I'm not impacting, why you put him in condition? That question for valley planning, I do not get involved that one. When the study comes, the valley planning knock my door and say, Ken, this intersection has impact. Is anything you want to intersection to be done? That's the time I get involved. At this time, they have not. And I'm gonna call them and ask them if there's any impact. We have the authority to install the left turn at 3 direction. That 3 direction been signed and is like check been issued. and it's gonna happen. It's a matter of sooner or later, as soon as we find the money. If it's this developer has impact, they can tap it in. If it's not, nothing they can do. Because we cannot impose if they don't have impact to say you got to do it because I said so. It doesn't work that way. But anyway, it's, at this time it's priority 2. And as soon as priority 1 is finished, is the priority 2, all of them going to funding, and just every angle we submit for federal, state, and call for project and try to get the money. And every year we get few $1 million for safety improvement. And of course, we have allocated money from our own budget to do certain signal in our budget. And this is in that list. So, but I would ask the valley planning to, see what's going on in that
You're not
process.
sure yet if the threshold has been met, but you're going to call them and check. That's
Yes,
pretty much it.
absolutely.
I appreciate that. And Assad is our lead, and he will continue to work with you. Thank you once again. We really
No problem. I can move on with your question if you guys want. And the other question was safe route to school. And the safe route to school used to handled by my office. Last few years, it's been done in the central, in the downtown. And the section we have to handle the safe route to school. My office does not get involved. If they ask a question or did they need more information, we can team up. But the contact person for the safe route to school is Margot O'Canas, OCANAS, and her number is 213-928-9707. And of course, her email is Margot, margot.ocanas@lact.org. Any question regarding the safe route to school should be addressed to her.
Thank you. We have another question coming in from Mr. David Lasher.
Okay.
Mute myself. Good evening, Ms. Prisman. It's wonderful you're here. We're receiving just a great deal of education, and your expertise is very clear, and definitely appreciate the in-depth knowledge. I had a few questions for you. I'll try to keep them really brief. I echo Jason's concerns, specifically with regard to Wilbur Rinaldi. In fact, I was rear-ended in that intersection at a dead stop because there was a car accident in front of me, and I was rear-ended by a young man driving through at 45 miles an hour with my 12-year-old son in the car. We were both thankful and injured, but the car was all but totaled. I had $14,000 damage to a Volkswagen. So I'm very familiar with that. I'm intimately familiar with the problems at that intersection. My first question was this. Another member said that there have been, I think she said there were many fatalities at the intersection. There have been many accidents there, and there are probably any fatality is a tragedy. Any one fatality is bad. I don't think we've had many fatalities there, right? I mean, are you aware of a large number of fatalities occurring in that intersection, as bad as it is, and it does need the left turn signals? That's my first question.
To answer your question is, I don't have the accident record. I will be glad to look at it. And but usually a fatality is not several, is one fatality and is more than what we want. I mean,
exactly.
Every time is a person die, is my brothers are doctor, and they used to come home and they couldn't eat a dinner. I used to ask them, why you are not eating dinner? Say, my patient died in operation room, because he used to take personally. I am exactly from the same family. I had 8 fatality in the West Valley in 2 weeks. So every fatality I get a report. Honestly to God, my heart goes out for them. The first thing I think, Ken, did you do everything you can? Did you kill somebody? Did we prevent this one? And when I come home, I am devastated. And I go to field and I work with PD. PD tell me, Ken, don't go over there. You see the white things? That's the brain of the driver. You think what type of day I'm gonna have? So I don't want to advertise myself, but this is my occupation. This is what I take a pride, and I do not take lightly what I do. Human life is in my hand, and I do every possible thing to make sure I don't shortchange.
That leads me right to my second question. I totally appreciate that. Your clear passion and sincerity is really evident. To that very point, my neighbor was struck and killed in front of me, and I got to see what you just mentioned almost 3 years ago now, crossing the corner street. I'm on Reseda north of Rinaldi, and I wrote a letter to the city about getting even just a marked crosswalk. And just after this collision, he was crossing legally and an unmarked crosswalk on the corner of Assumption and Reseda. And I heard him get hit and tried to render aid, and there was nothing I could do. No one could have done anything, unfortunately. What does it take to reinvestigate adding a marked crosswalk? I'm not looking for a traffic light or a stop sign, even just some kind of marked crosswalk, maybe one of those islands like they have further down Reseda near Chadsworth.
We can take a look at it. The crosswalk is when we somebody said is crosswalk. I usually made the comment, I'm not trying to save couple can of the pain. And the pain does not protect the pedestrian. Sometimes unjustified crosswalk give us the false sense of security to pedestrian that I'm protected. So
make it worse, yeah.
Every single intersection is legally prolongation of the curve is a legal crossing for at the intersection. But when you and I be crossing the street, when you don't see crosswalk, you are more cautious. You look in the cars, you try to find the gap. But I videotaped it. When I put the crosswalk, the guy has a headphone and is not listening, even didn't move his head because he thinks I put the paint on the street. You know, he has the right of way. And so therefore, the San Diego study shows when we remove the crosswalk, we improve the safety of the pedestrian 72%. Therefore, the last few years, we are removing the crosswalk if it's not used, because once a blooming crossing using is dangerous. People, they do not die that much near the UCLA in Westwood, because every time you see 100 people are crossing. But when we put middle of nowhere and 1 or 5 people crossing a day, and the driver is not expecting to see the pet. Once a blue moon, when the pet is crossing, the vehicular hit that because they never see the pet. So therefore, we have a guideline where we put the crosswalk, how we put it, and we do not put uncontrolled crosswalk anymore. That means if we're gonna put crosswalk, we're gonna added some kind of traffic control device. We call it HOX, flashing device, and altered signal or mid-block signal or full signal, because we want to make sure we protect the pet. Otherwise, in the old time, we used to put coupled lines pedestrian on one side, we are done. That's not helping anymore. So therefore, we follow the guideline, and to make sure we have all the elements meet the guideline. And another thing, as I want to mention to this one to you guys, if is a one place meet the guideline for crosswalk, if we don't authorize it, is God forbid somebody die or somebody get hurt, we have to pay millions of dollars for what we didn't do. And if one place didn't meet the guideline and we put the crosswalk, and they're gonna say, you did it at this location, why you didn't do other location? So therefore, we have to be consistent, we have to have a policy, and we have to know why we are doing or why we reject them. And I hope you guys appreciate it. And I hope this guideline is published and approved by council office, by mayor office. This is the right thing to do, so we follow that guideline. So that location you're telling me, absolutely, I would be glad to investigate and see what's the outcome and what is the problem and how we diagnose that problem.
Thank you very much. And again, I appreciate your expertise. And the final, very easiest question you'll hear probably tonight. Before that, the speed is a bigger issue coming into that intersection. And maybe we can talk next week about that, you and I. My last question, easy question. What's going on with the sinkhole on the off ramp for Reseda? It looks like it's returned, and the far right lane, and that's been coned off for probably 3 months now, but no work's being done there. I know there's Caltrans, but if you have any answer to that, that'd be great.
No, I don't. I can check into that, see what they're doing. As I said, the Caltrans is like a bigger brother. They don't listen to anybody, and they make us look good. And because they are difficult people to work. I mean, that's my feeling about them. But doesn't mean we give up. No matter what, we go head to head with them, try to accomplish something. And but another thing is, I want to bring it up. In order to improve the safety and the traffic movement in the city, is not only engineering. No matter how many stop sign put, how many signal I put, how many left turn I put, we usually call it 3E. I need engineering, enforcement, education. Those 3E got to work hand on hand to be able to solve the problem. So if the PD is not enforcing because they don't have manpower or whatever, and we don't educate them, the only engineering cannot be single-handed to solve all the problem. So we have to do all three of them to improve our quality life and the human life on the street. And no question about it, as I am in charge of the engineering, I'm responsible to do the best engineering possible on the street. And that is my highest pride.
Thank you.
And
Thank you very much. I
thank you.
appreciate it.
Thank
I
you.
didn't mean again say so much about myself. Just for record, I want to tell you guys, we have so many people in the department or Caltrans. They may be mechanical engineer, electrical engineer, chemical engineer, and they end up to be traffic engineer. Mine is not like that. Since I got my civil engineering, my passion was traffic. So I have a master's degree from Georgia Tech as a transportation engineer. I have all my PhD courses from Georgia Tech as a traffic engineer. So this is, I decided maybe 40 years ago, that's what I want to do. So that's the thing is, I don't take it lightly. This is something I love to do, and I got all the education and knowledge to be able to serve my community. I am member of the West Valley, and the West Valley is like my backyard. So I take a big pride on that. And I get so excited if I can do something to my community.
Well, I'm glad you're excited, and we're happy that you're here. We have a question from Gabriel. Please unmute yourself, Gabriel.
Yes, sir. How are you, Mr. Fruzman?
Good, good. Thank you.
Very good. I have actually contacted your office as well as CD12 and a few other offices the last 3-4 years for the same issues. And we've gone in big circles and got nowhere. For my first problem is on Palladino and Cessna. The stop sign was removed there about 8 years ago.
Yes.
And that's the crosswalk that most residents use to take their kids to school. And I try to find out why it was removed. I've heard 15 different stories, and it's still removed. It's not there. But if you go on Google Maps 10 years ago, you'll see a stop sign there. It was obviously there. There was a crosswalk. I would like to know what can be done to bring that stop sign back, because my second problem, which is related to this one, is Mason and Cessna. Once again, that intersection when schools start is unsafe. Parents do not stop at the red lights. Their kids have to cross street because there's no other place to cross the street. And if nobody is stopping to make right turns, there's no safe crossing to the school. So my projected in that intersection is maybe making a 4-way stop and have like a just crosswalk, like the X crosswalk in New York. And I've seen a few in LA that kids, all the kids can cross at a certain time period, and they completely stop crossing at the rest of the time. So there's no kids crossing a green, get run over, a red, get run over, and etc. Because that stop sign on Palladino was removed, and because of the Mason and Cessna now continuing all the way up and continuing to a new community, it's become extremely unsafe. Can you address those two things first? And I have one more matter after that.
Absolutely. If you didn't get convinced with 15th story you received, I guess you want the 16th story from me, right?
Yes.
Okay. Well, this is a true story in that case. I don't want to give this story. I just talk the fact and reality. And I'm sorry if you've been run around from my office or anything, because I don't think my office does that. And if you work with myself and my engineer, I train them to tell the fact and the reality. And that crosswalk, that stop sign you're talking about was dead end, that the road was not continuous. Okay.
The road used to continue there. I have pictures. I used to stop at that stop sign when I moved to this community for the first 2 years until it was removed.
Yes, but how much was continuous? Wasn't. So the story is, when the Porter Ranch is developed, they do piecemeal. They do some portion of the Mason or Cessna, and when they come, they say, oh, when we develop that, we're going to continue the road. So when they were building that and they stopped that road as a dead end, or few hundred after that was dead end, so they put a stop sign to be able to give the notice to driver, do not go hit the fence. So when they came and continues the road, we cannot keep the stop sign there. The reason is, a stop sign we put on the residential street, no code and collector. You never see a stop sign on Reseda, Tampa, and Deseto, Ventura Boulevard. You don't see a stop sign, do you? Because we cannot put a stop sign on major and secondary. So that's the reason those streets cannot have a stop sign. And the stop sign was there, shouldn't be there in the first place, is Porter Ranch put it. I know the history of it, and they told us because they don't want the people go continuous and hit the fence. And as an interim they did. But when they came and built the rest of the road, that stop sign got to go. So that's the reason. But however, if is they increase the traffic, we have a concern, we can go evaluate for full traffic signal. Doesn't mean we are frustrated, we don't want to do anything. We do, but the stop sign is not an appropriate traffic control device for that type of street.
Or flashing crosswalks or something, because as I said, there's no way for the kids to cross the street at any intersection by Porter Ranch Community School.
Absolutely. I work with your Porter Ranch Community School, the Cessna and Mason, and they have a beautiful, nice principal. I think she got promoted or something. She left that school. And the thing is, as you may know, I changed the parking around the school. I provide the 15 minutes parking and no parking, and except 15 minutes parking between 7 to 9 and 1:30 to 4, and 2 hours parking from 9 to 1:30. On west side of the Mason, south of the Cessna, north leg of and west leg on the Cessna, and the east leg of Cessna, and installing the bollard we call K71 to detour vehicle from parking and the student crossing Cessna. That means they park it on the north side and they cross in the Cessna. So I put that bollard in the middle so they don't do this one. But I provided loading zone everywhere they asked me, the maximum I could. But however, I came up and I offered them a crosswalk at Cessna, east of Mason. I told them I'm willing to put the crosswalk with flashing device. School absolutely rejected. They say we do not want a crosswalk here. We do not want to encourage the parents park on the north side and cross it. We don't want the people, they do loading, unloading on north of the Cessna. So therefore, I had a meeting with the CD12, Hannah Lee, and the principal at AUSD and consulting Porter Ranch, and I told them I'm willing to do. And Porter Ranch, they say, we can contribute and build it, no charge to city. So it was zero to cost, but the school absolutely, they said no. So that's the reason I walked away.
If the school says yes right now, are you willing to do it? Or can you still do it?
Well, the thing is, that was we were working with the Porter Ranch, and the Porter Ranch, because they had some condition to approve that, so we came up with all the improvement that Porter Ranch property does. So that was one of them they were willing to do. Because if we go to do it, again, is the budget issue. Where we gonna find the money? Another thing is, when I put no parking and no loading, unloading on Cessna, north of Cessna. So who is crossing there?
All the residents of Renaissance, also all the parents that park north on Mason and Cessna, because there's a lot of...
Yeah, if they parking on the Mason north of Cessna, they can come at signalized intersection as Cessna and Mason is a full signal with a crosswalk. They can use that.
It's a full signal, but nobody, that's the problem though. Nobody stops at the stop signs or red lights there. That intersection is a very...
I'm sorry, but as I mentioned before, I cannot do magic. I can do engineering. If the person doesn't stop at the stop sign, that's the enforcement. That's the reason I said is 3E got to work together, engineering, enforcement, education. Okay? If again, if somebody, even I put 10 left turn arrow, 10 signal, the person doesn't stop sign, as an engineer, nothing I can do.
Correct.
Because that's the time we need enforcement. The enforcement goes them and give them $500 ticket that you passed the red light or you didn't stop at the red light.
But
So
can we
that's
make
the thing that desperately I need PD.
Can we do a four-way stop sign in the intersection? Four-way light.
Pardon me?
Can we do a four-way light so all four ways will be red and green for people walking, for example, and then turn all alternating?
Well, it's all red. We have you're talking about the diagonal crosswalk?
Correct, diagonal crossing or just crossing itself, period. So it'll be green for crossing, red for cars, and then red for crossing and green for cars, for example.
Yeah, the diagonal crosswalk looks good on the paper. I know we have in Beverly Hills, and people are saying, and they are not in Valley or how the people reacting in the Valley. What we have done last 10 years, they told us every district goes to find one location, and we do diagonal as experimental. My diagonal intersection is Oldsmouth and I believe Irvine. So I put a diagonal crossing there, and I had over 100 requests to get rid of that diagonal. Okay, so they say it's not efficient, is not safe, and is not good to do. So that's the reason last 10 years, we have not installed the second diagonal in the West Valley. And we can't wait to remove that one.
Can we consider doing that for Porter Ranch?
Well, in that case, you are not listening to me. I'm saying is last 10 years that experimental bad. The study came so bad, do not repeat that one again. Last 10 years, we have not put one diagonal in the West Valley because the result wasn't attractive, and I have 100 requests to remove that diagonal from the West Valley. So that means it's not a dependable, efficient, and safe operation. So if you think is that people are not stopping on the right turn or red, you think how the people crossing middle of the intersection, they at this time they are walking parallel with the street, parallel with vehicle movement. That time is gonna be diagonal, perpendicular to the vehicle. So I wouldn't walk with my family as a diagonal front of the person may not stop at the red. Would you? At this, I'm so happy I am walking parallel with them. So the bottom line is not mine. The study shows that, and you'll be surprised. They say get rid of their own spot. The next time we go to resurface in there, I don't think we're gonna retain that. We're gonna remove it.
Ken, I think we have another question from Mr. Jason Hector. Go ahead, Jason.
You forgot me, David.
I just want to pick up on what Gabriel's saying.
You're next.
You know, when I was on the education committee chair, we worked with Castle Bay, and you know, Brad Smith is the person who works for LAUSD, and he comes out and meets with you or the principal during the pickup and drop off times to observe what's going on, and then he made several recommendations. And then I think those are forwarded to DOT because anything around the school, LAUSD has their own gentleman, Mr. Smith, and you can attest to that. But I think it was very successful because the recommendations that Brad Smith came up with were all actually implemented at Castle Bay. So they implemented more stop signs, crosswalks, speed humps, etc. So that was what I was advised to do through the council office, is set up a meeting. And now that you have a new principal at PRCS, I would highly recommend setting up a meeting with Brad Smith and the principal, have him come out. Unfortunately, we don't have regular school hours, you know, to see the pickup and drop off. But nonetheless, that was very successful because it is a very specialized area when you're dealing with school children, and maybe even safe routes to school could be an option as well. But just wanted to chime in and share that with you guys. And
well,
thank you, Jason.
Let me make a comment on that one. That Brad Smith is retired almost a year ago. He's not with LAUSD anymore. And Brad Smith used to meet with the principal and give the wish list to me whatever they think, and they are not engineers. Whatever they think is good, but I am the person got to evaluate and be the brain of these requests, and the recommendations see is gonna improve the safety. So the thing you are referring to, Casabay, when we have a gas leak in the Porter Ranch, and that's the thing that was the center people gather. So we were working with principal and Brad Smith that time. That's the reason we did certain improvement, like crosswalk or certain improvement around the Casabay because of that situation.
Thank you. Assad, you have a question?
Yes, the problem, I can't raise my hand, only physically.
Now I see you.
Now you know. That's why it's like I didn't get to speak, but anyway, Ken, thank you so much for joining us and for filling a lot of the gaps. And I'm sure I'll be working with you and Margot closely, especially I got a lot of emails from Castle Bay school teachers to enhance on the safe route to school. So I'll work with, I guess, Margaret O'Canis on resolving those. However, over the next few weeks, we will need your help on addressing the speed limits along Cessnan and Reseda and all of those. I understand it's a state regulation that we need to work on first, then before we get to the city. And then as we do that, then I guess, I don't want you to explain to us the whole procedure now, but over the next few weeks, if you could share with the board on how we can get the speed limit reduced, and this way we can take other measures along the line. And I really appreciate spending all this 1 hour with us to enlighten us on all LADOT. But the speed limit reduction is an issue for us.
It's no problem. I will be glad to work with you guys, but again, the speed limit is dictated by vehicle code and state of California, and they tie our hands, and we have to follow the restrict guideline. And I don't want to go through all the detail, what it takes. The speed limit we determine, but we have to follow exactly what they're saying us, but the communication going on between city and state to tell them, give us a little bit leeway and give us opportunity. We do a little bit decision at least 5 miles or 7 miles. We can reduce it based on the 85 percentile. They hesitate to do that. They dictated exactly the way it got to be done. And if we don't do like that, the speed limit is not enforceable. And they call it speed trap and they throw it out. But I would be glad to work with you and tell the guideline and policy of what it takes, and we go from there.
Yeah, we will, we hope you take us in baby steps so that Absolutely. We follow the procedure and then we don't mess up for LAPD enforcement.
No problem. No problem.
Thank you.
I don't want to take up any more of your time. You've spent an hour with us, but I know Becky has another question for you before we let you go, but we're truly grateful for all the time you've given us tonight. I mean,
absolutely,
such information. I mean, we just so happy. So one moment. Absolutely. Becky, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Okay, I am unmuted. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Mr. Farizman, first of all, I want to compliment you on your presentation, first of all. Secondly, your information on crosswalks is so right on, because I've been on the Port Ranch Neighborhood Council since its inception, like 20 years or give or take a couple of years. And the community wanted to put a crosswalk in front of the Porter Ranch Library, which lies between Tampa, between the intersections of Rinaldi and Cessnon. And it's a downhill ride for most of the people who travel that road. We were very upset. We did not want that. Mel Mitchell, who was the president at the time, and I were against it, because we were worried that people would just have a crosswalk and just step in front of it and just think, oh, everybody's watching. And then bang, there they go. And, they're not here anymore. We suggested, if you're going to do that, put a bridge over the library onto the other side of Rinaldi. And of course that didn't go, but I want to applaud you, because your statement on crosswalks is right on and so important for people to understand that a crosswalk does not guarantee your safety, and especially in a high-risk area. So I just want to thank you for your presentation. You were awesome, and keep on doing the good work that you're doing, and we will work with you to resolve the issues that we have here in Porter Ranch.
Well, thank you so much. And I have to mention that I'm glad you look at that way. As far as I'm awesome, I'm going to give my wife's cell number, call her, see if she thinks I'm awesome or not. She doesn't.
Oh, you give it to me. I'll like vote for you, and so will
And,
everyone else, not just me.
but thank you. But the thing is, I want to mention
Because
that.
as Assad would say, we're a team.
But thank you. The thing is, what I want to mention that, and I apologize because of the busy schedule. I should be with you guys maybe on monthly basis or every 2 months. So we have close working relationship. But the way I look at it, I work for you guys. I get paid by you guys, and I'm your expert. And I do everything I can. Certain thing I say no or is not good because I know its consequences, and I know technicality, human reaction. And I know everybody has a driving license. They think they are traffic engineer. So I would be glad to work with you guys. But some of them, they listen. Like I do not go to my heart doctor, tell me, hey, give me aspirin, give me open heart surgery, give me angio. I listen to them because I know the doctor has my best benefit in her mind. And I hope you guys know that. That's my position. I'm your technical advisor. I'm your operational engineer, and I take a big pleasure working with you guys. And if I am some of them, I do not recommend or I approve it. That's the way it is. And I think with working shoulder by shoulder together, not face to face. I don't want some people. I go, they attack me left and right. I say, okay, that makes your evening. Go ahead. But some like Encino, Tarzana, they work shoulder by shoulder with me, and of course your neighborhood council to achieve something. So I will be glad to work with you guys, and it would be my pleasure. And you guys have my number, my office number, my email. Please let me know any part, any shape I can help. And if you want to be on more meeting in the future, please let me know.
Well, you're awesome, and thank you so much for that, because we're going to take you up on it.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much for attending our meeting tonight.
Absolutely. Okay.
No everybody's giving you claps. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And you have a good weekend.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate it.
Anytime.
Board,
Bye now.
Oh, there's Chloe.
Board, at this time, we good for a 10-minute break? Or do you want to keep on moving through?
I'd like a break, please.
We will take a 10-minute break. I'll set the timer and I will see you guys back here at, what is it, 9:47, 8:47. Thank you.
Hello, Mehran, can you hear us? Mehran. Hello?
Moran, if you can hear us, check your volume. Maybe your volume's off. Just move your volume up.
Mehran, can you log off and log in again? Maybe this will resolve your audio problem.
Okay, let's go ahead and move on. I know we bounced around a little bit, but we really needed to have Ken give us his all, and we're truly grateful. So Assad, I'm going to turn this over to you. You have item number 8, discussion possible action to the current Porter Ranch street racing, speeding, and traffic violations, exploring the measures presented by Councilman John Lee's letter that was sent to the community back in September of 2020.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. I appreciate it. And I'll try to be very brief. So as you all know, we have a current Porter Ranch street racing and speeding and a lot of traffic issues. And like Mr. Feruzman just mentioned, LADOT did the engineering. Now we need more into the enforcement and the education. And this is a full community approach. We thank Councilman John Lee's office for the letter they sent to the community after our September 3rd meeting, and in which they designated Matt Hernandez, which I hope he will join us for this item to further explain as the contact point. The questions we had raised as a safety committee to Matt, in which pertaining to what the letter was doing, is how we gonna be processing the license plate collection. How are we going to be able as a community or a committee or a board access this information? Is it going to be shared with us? Is it in collaboration with LAPD and LADOT, or is it just for the council office? And how we can, as a board and as a community, be engaged to maintain the public safety at the same time without endangering anybody. I mean, the letter suggested that we go ahead and see the speeders and take their license plate and email it to Matt. But in a way, I mean, that's endangering people. And we as a PRNC will want to cooperate and help both LAPD and the CD12 to get this, because at the end, it's a win-win to the community if we stop this speeding and racing and donuts. And Captain Neiman, a couple nights ago, had a big meeting in which he listened to many of people in the community. And we're hoping to hear more from CD12 on, to elaborate more on how we're gonna be doing the content of the letter. What's the mechanics? Where the pictures are going? How's gonna be processed? Is our prosecutor gonna be able to handle it or not? Is third-party videos and pictures enough to go after the racing people or not? And that's where we are. Thank you.
Assad, I would like what I'd like, and we hear from the board, but I think we should table this and re-invite CD12. I mean, it's very difficult, I know, on a Friday night, but maybe we can get, if we carry this over to our next meeting, we can get Matt to come on.
I second that. I second on that. Yeah, we should table it until we have Matt, or at least Colin, available, so that this way we hear from them on how we proceed. So I don't mind moving it to November 11 meeting.
Is everybody good with that?
Yes, that sounds good.
Thank you. Then we'll move ahead. Thank you, Assad. I'm going to move on to item number 11, now that we've had our break and budget advocates and we're moving quickly. It's a discussion and possible action to authorize Jason Hector, Chair of Beautification, to submit a letter to Street LA requesting quarterly street sweeping. So I'm going to go ahead and pull that up for you, Jason.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, so this is the street sweeping one. All right. I just wrote a couple notes here. I don't normally read from my notes, but I wanted to just make a couple points here. Oh, actually, I wanted to also pull up. There's a map that shows all the street sweeping. I don't have it pulled up, but I'll just explain it to you. There's a map of all the existing street sweeping routes that are posted and regular, and there's no regular posted street sweeping in Porter Ranch whatsoever. I was going to pull up the map, but I'll just explain it. So what this is a request for action letter going to Board of Public Works, and Greg Spots is the point person on this. And obviously we have a recurring problem here in Porter Ranch with all the pine needles, you know, the windblown trash in the street, the litter. I know Hassan has been working on the issue with the PPE that's ending up in the streets, but it's an ongoing problem. And you know, when we were establishing the goals and the mission of the beautification committee, one of the goals was to provide long-term solutions. And you know, we're not going to be on the board forever, but it would be nice to have a long-term solution that at least provides a baseline maintenance. Obviously, we're not going to deal with the sidewalks. We're just dealing with what's in the street. So what I was recommending is that the board ask the city to put us on a quarterly maintenance plan. I don't know if they're going to agree to this, but right now I've been putting requests in 311, like I said here, on a random basis. But it just seems like it makes a lot more sense for them to, if they're already coming out, you know, to do Tampa, for example, well, let's get Wilbur done and let's get Cessnon done and Rinaldi too. So we need some love here in Porter Ranch with respect to the streets. It's not going to solve all of our problems, but it is, it would be beneficial if we get on a regular program. That way the citizens don't just, you know, get upset and have to put it in 311. It's just kind of an ongoing basis. Obviously, further action will be needed. You know, we need to educate the homeowners on their responsibility. A lot of these properties are homeowners' responsibilities, but obviously we need to improve on that. So there's further action. Whoa. Okay.
Mehran, we have you twice, Mehran. Now, all of a sudden, we have Mehran, finally.
Maybe you have to mute everybody else, but I'll leave it at that. Maybe that's a sign. But I hope everybody had a chance to read the letters. If there's any suggestions or comments, or, you know, it can be changed, or, you know, I'm open to.
Okay, so Jason, we have a hand from Becky Levesque. Let me pull it down. Becky, go ahead, please. Becky, did you have a question?
So, yes, I do. I have a
There you are.
I just want to no, it's not really a question, it's a statement. I'm not sure that everyone on the neighborhood council understands that street cleaning, when they clean up the sidewalks, and I think it's really much worse south of Rinaldi than it is north of Rinaldi, because the wind blows everything to the south part of Rinaldi on, you know, Wilbur and Tampa and all of that, that the pine needles have an oil in them. And when the street cleaners come to clean up that pine oil, it's oil and they catch on fire. So it's a real problem, because I know Tom Johnson and Dick Rippey and a whole lot of people from especially Northridge South Neighborhood Council, they used to do it by hand every Saturday. They bring donuts and coffee because those street cleaners can't handle the pine needles, because the pine needles with the oil in them set them on fire. So I just want to give that little bit of information, and I'm not pro or con, but I wanted to tell you guys why the street cleaners can't come up here and clean the pine needles, because they'll catch on fire, and you can check that out. That's all I
I
have to say.
included that in the letter, actually, because if you look at the first paragraph of the letter, the last sentence, what they do is they do 2 trips. So the first trip will be to scoop up the pine needles. So see where it says we have, are you scrolling up on?
No, because you know what, I haven't been invited into the meeting, so I don't see that. So you tell me, they scoop up the pine needles and then
I put in the letter. I'll put it in the letter here. I said, Streets LA has been very responsive to those requests and we appreciate it. I said, we have lots of pine needles, so we know that it requires 2 trips, one for a scooper and one for a sweeper. So they do come in and they'll use a scooper to pick up the majority of the pine needles, and then they come back later with the sweeper. So we acknowledge that it is a 2-trip, unlike other areas where you can do it in 1 trip. It is a 2-trip job. So that is
and that's great to know, because maybe somebody might want to tell Northridge neighborhood West, because they have bags all along Wilbur between Rinaldi, and I see them all the time between Rinaldi and
well, I'm just staying within our jurisdiction, basically.
I understand, but you know what, we have wind. That helps us. I don't think that's a huge problem for us north of the Rinaldi, because I don't see anything in my streets, but you know.
Well, I've been putting a lot of them on 311, but if they don't, and also West Valley Alliance has been cleaning up, and LA Conservation Corps has been cleaning up as well. But it's an ongoing problem. You get piles and piles of pine needles, especially after the winds. Drive on Wilbur now, we've had all these winds. I'm sure you'll see a ton. So it's an ongoing issue, but if this letter passes and is sent, then, you know, I can go to Northridge West and say, hey, you know, we approved the letter. But you know, it's not appropriate.
But you know, Jason, you're my idol. No, you're my idol. And you know what? The pine needles are a problem, and if they're going to pick them up before they street swim them, but I do know for a fact from being on the neighborhood council for 20 years that those people, the apparatus that picked up all those pine needles would catch on fire, and that's kind of why they stopped. So I just wanted to bring that out. It's not a judgment call. It's just something for history.
Thank you.
But you are my idol.
Jason, we have another question from Lori. Lori, please.
Hi, I don't really have a question. I think this is a great idea. Just want to know, do we have to do an action or a motion right now?
So Jason will have to, Jason, what is your motion?
Well, if the letter looks good, if nobody has any additions or comments on the letter, then I will go ahead and make a motion to authorize, as written in number 11. Let's see, is it number 11? Yeah.
Mr. President, Mehran has his hand up.
I know. 1 second, because
let's
Jason
finish.
was speaking and Miran was coming in at the last second.
just wanna
Let's hold
see
off 1 second, Jason. Get Miran. Miran?
Does everybody like the letter as is? Are there any additions or changes that?
I want to see if Miran has something to say, but he's not responding. Miran? Okay, Jason, please move ahead with your motion.
Okay.
It looks good.
So without any objection, I'd like to make a motion to, as item number 11 says, to authorize Jason Hector, Chair of the Beautification, to a letter to LA requesting quarterly street sweeping.
I'll second that. Gabriel second.
Okay.
Gabriel, can we get a call? Good vote call, please?
Brandy? Absent. Hassan? Absent. David Balin?
Yes.
Jason?
Yes.
Miran? Absent. Becky?
Yes.
David Lasher?
Yes.
Lori,
Yes.
Assad,
Yes.
Gabriel, yes, and motion passes.
Very much, Jason. I'd like to move on to item number 12. Item number 12. This is also from Jason and Miran. Discussion and possible action to authorize Jason Hector, Chair of Beautification, to submit a letter to Councilmember John Lee and Urban Forestry requesting assistance with the dying trees within Porter Ranch. It's yours, Jason.
Okay, gotcha. I don't know if you want to enable screen share because I do have pictures of all these trees, but I will go ahead and read what I got written down here as far as notes. So yeah, we discussed this at the beautification committee. I think at that point there were probably about 7 or 8 trees. It's an ongoing problem. We discussed at the committee that we ought to put those in 311, and that was done. We obviously want to address this issue. These are street trees that are managed by urban forestry, so we must work with the city to.
We're all able to pull in.
Can you mute everybody, David?
It's me, Ron, calling in. He's trying to get in.
That's okay. That's okay. You need to mute everybody.
Just mute everybody so I can not have feedback. Okay. Anyways, it is imperative on these projects that we work with the city. That would be urban forestry as well as the councilman's office, because they answer their calls and they can help facilitate permits and everything else. So the purpose of the letter is to ask help and support from the councilman's office, but also urban forestry, and letting them know that we want to work on this project, and hopefully that they can assist us like they did on the last project, and getting those done. Now, if there are other trees within the community that that you find that need attention, please bring those to my attention and we can add those to the list. I'll put those in 311. This is an ongoing thing. So most of those trees appear to be dying from the drought. The last one was a lot of bark beetle, but it's mainly a combination of the drought. It could be partially from the fires and from the bark beetle as well. But there's several factors that are playing into the deaths of those trees. And that was what I was told by urban forestry. So they did go out there, they did look at the trees. It's good timing right now because you want to do these kind of jobs in the fall when it's cool. You don't want to go and if you're going to trim a tree, you don't want to do it in the heat of the summer. You want to wait till it cools off. So I hope everybody got a chance to read the letter. I look forward to any comments or suggestions or additions to it. But this is just basically getting the ball rolling with the city. And there'll be more to come as far as, I mean, hopefully, best case scenario, they come and they say, okay, yeah, urban forestry will take care of it next week. But that's not likely to happen. So it'll be an ongoing process, and we can keep the board updated as things progress. But at this point in time, it's simply requesting assistance from.
So let me reach out to, before we move on to the board, because I know that Assad has a question, but let's reach out to the community first because we have some people in the waiting room.
And if you want me to, I have pictures of the trees. If you want to share the screen, I can pull those up. If anybody is wondering about the trees, there's about 9 of them right along Tampa. They're kind of by the lake around Pine Valley in Tampa, and then there's one all the way north of Cessnon, and then there's one at Porter Valley and Wilbur. There's
maybe at our next meeting you can send those to me ahead of time. Thank you, Jason.
All right.
Okay. Let me go ahead. Go ahead, Assad. You're on.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President. Jason, thank you very much for all this letters and all that, and we appreciate it. And I always vote you as the Public Works liaison. I have a very simple comment or a suggestion, if you may. Change the addressed letter to the GM Haji Khalil directly, like you did in the other one. so that this way he could use it as an assignment directly to his UFD. And he has already an open channel with us, and there is a lady in his office designated to support us. So I think at this stage, you follow the same great letter you just did in the other one and send it directly to Haji Khalil. And then if he fails and all that, we bring in the councilman. But it's just a suggestion. So that this way you have two uniform letters, and I think it will make more noise at BSS rather than if it's going the way it is. Thank you very much for your great work.
I have do you want to respond?
Yeah, okay, so, I mean, the way I wrote it was going to both of them. So, because the reason behind that would be because like Public Works, if they know the councilman's office is behind it and supporting it, then they will prioritize it. So that's why I included the both of them in hopes that CD12 will say, hey, take care of this to the general manager. But are you suggesting to just send it to Board of Public Works and not the councilman? Or
exactly at this level, and if he fails to deliver, then we take it up the ladder, because the first letter you're sending directly to Haji Khalil, to the GM. So this one may be the same way, and if we fail in that route, just to be consistent, because we're sending one this way, it's just a suggestion.
The reason I did that is because, the councilman has some discretionary funding, is my understanding, with urban forestry. So the councilman could perhaps assist us with maybe allocating some of their discretionary funding or projects on, but I'd like to hear what the rest of the board has to say. Those are good points. It could go either way for me. I mean, it really doesn't matter at the end of the day. I just want to get it done. But you understand the city very well, so I respect what you're saying, and I'm open to, hearing more and then making a decision.
Becky has their hand up. Becky, go ahead, please. Becky? Becky, you had your hand up?
You hear me?
Yes, I hear you. We get.
Okay, thank you, Mr. President. Jason, one of the things that I think we need to remember in all of this tree removal, and it's so important because we are in a high fire area. But we're not only dealing with the city and John Lee, we're dealing with the county, the state, and the federal government, because all of those entities own or are under the jurisdiction of the Porter Ranch Neighborhood Council and the people who live in Porter Ranch. Aliso Canyon, Limekiln Canyon, all of them. And it's not just about our council person making the decision. There's so many barriers that we have to cross. And Jason, I know you understand that. And I totally agree with you that these trees need to be removed. But is there any way that the neighborhood council can put money forth to remove these trees? And what entities would we have to bypass? State, federal, local? And that's my statement.
I can answer that last part of the question. So we did the project last year, and Porter Ranch Neighborhood Council did fund the removals, the 22 trees and the 35 trims that we did. It's urban forestry is in charge of those trees. This Board of Public Works, Bureau of Street Services, Urban Forestry Division. So that's why the letter is going to them. They have jurisdiction over those trees. So yes, we could fund this ourselves, but I think we've done a lot of work on our own in the community. We did spend like almost $10,000 removing trees, and even more than that over the last like several years. So I'd like to see them perhaps support us financially at this point in time. So this is the goal. If they come back and they say, no, we don't have funding, then at that time, I think it would be reasonable to look. But I wrote this letter specifically in a way that it is asking for support. And that could be financial support, but also in getting the permits and the approvals that are necessary. So we'll see how it goes. And if they flat out say no, 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 then we have to bring it up with the board. I don't know that the board will support it or not. We'll have to take it up with the board at a later time. But I think this is an important approach in building on success in the past and appreciation for all of what they've done in the past.
Jason, you have another question from Iran. I'm going to unmute him.
Hi, David. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Yes,
Okay,
please go
good.
ahead.
First of all, thank you, Jason, for putting this letter. However, I am still like to agree what Asad said and suggested. This letter should go to Adel Haj Khalil. He's the general manager, and they do have different funds in different entities. As you know, you witness how they did the tree and so on. This letter should go actually only to him at the moment. Let's see what will be the outcome, and we can bring this back to the beautification committee. We can discuss it, and then we can move forward to the board and make it different decisions.
So what is the reason that you don't want it to go to the councilman's office? I'm just trying to understand.
Because Adel Haj Khalil as a general manager, and even Assad would support me in this, he has the higher privilege and authority in the city. He's the one that he has the privilege to sign the papers. He can assign the project. It's not going to lose. We are not going to lose this. It's not going to take the time. You are giving him a responsibility. He's going to follow that responsibility. He's going to find the crew and assign the project to him, and they will start. And that will be a great achievement.
I'm open to that idea. I'd like to hear from some of the other board
So,
members. What they
Jason,
feel.
David Balin here, also a member of beautification along with you and Miran. I'm kind of leaning towards only sending it without the councilman. And the only reason why is because when we removed the 20 plus trees, we didn't get help from the office. So we might consider just going straight to the source. That's just my thought.
Well, we never asked though either. Like we didn't ask. This time we're asking.
Well, okay. So here's my second thought on that is we're still in a highly COVID situation right now. The council member is focusing on community. I don't think he's really going to be focusing on trees at this time. So I am still going to lean towards only sending it one way because I think their agenda is quite full right now.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. If that's what most of you guys want, I'm okay with that. I mean,
well, let's hear from the rest of the board if they have any other input. That's just my thought. I would like it to at least, because your passion for the community and for the trees, we move quickly on it. And I think that if we try to get CD12 involved, it might just get pushed on the back burner. That's just a thought.
if they come back, they might come back and say they don't have funding. This is what we normally hear. In the meetings. I know Miran is on a lot of the meetings that I attend with the Forest Advisory Committee,
Good.
and they say, it's a lot of, we don't have the funding, we don't have enough crews, we don't have this and that, and so, I guess we could send a follow-up letter if they come back and say they don't have funding. We can send a follow-up letter to Councilman Lee requesting his prioritizing or something like that. I just figured if it goes to them, I can call them and say, hey, can we get your support with urban forestry? And then they already know what the deal is because they got in the letter. So that was kind of the plan of attack. But, it could go either way. I mean, there's many ways to, what is it, skin a cat or something like
Well, you're the chair of the committee, so I'm gonna put that back on you. I think Miran has another question. His
No,
hand is
no,
up.
no, I don't have it. Sorry, David.
Okay, I took it down. All right,
Okay.
so do we have a motion, Jason?
No comments from the public, no more board member comments?
There's nothing.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
no,
see
no,
two
wait.
hands. There is
Oh,
Becky
wait, I'm
and
sorry,
Lori.
Lori. Lori
Wait,
does, Lori
I
does.
had my hand up.
Oh, Becky, okay, Becky first.
Sorry.
Becky, go ahead.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. President. What I would like to say, trees are really important. And I totally agree with Jason. Throwing it on the council member, it's not, there's so many different people who are in charge of this area, state, federal, city, county, all of the canyons where so many people are living. There's a whole lot of different ways to approach it. But what I really think we need to do is I think that not to just focus on our council member, but to focus on all the entities. But I think we need to focus even more than that on essential services. Trees, to me, are essential services in the fact, like what Jason has stated, that they could take down all of Porter Ranch. We saw that in Paradise. But it's not only the councilman who can make that decision. It's the city, the state, the federal, all of those people. So I really think that's what we need to focus on and not get so down on our local government officials. I think we need to look at the bigger picture. And that's my statement. Thank you.
Thank you. Lori,
I'm glad Becky went before me because I partially agree and I partially disagree. I agree that all the different entities need to be involved, but I think we have to do a chain of command sort of situation. I think we should start with the urban forestry as you started here, and I agree with Assad in taking off the councilman unless we needed his input. I think we should go that route and then escalate as needed. I think if this person in the urban forestry has been in charge and has done things for us in the past, I don't see why he wouldn't be able to do it unless his budget is gone. And I think they all understand the issue of fire. So I honestly, I love the letter. I think otherwise it's great. I would go for just sending it to the urban forestry general manager first, and then see where it goes from there. And then we can always add. There's no hurt in adding the county, the state, and federal, and so on, as Becky mentioned.
and now we have Assad. Thank you, Lori.
Yes, yes, Jason. And what I'll do is I'll share with you the information for Ellis Lee. She's the community engagement manager that General Manager Adel Haji Khalil put her in charge to work with all the neighborhood councils. I met her online in the Congress last month, and in which he made a commitment, not only for your trees, but to get all our streets with the cool asphalt added on the streets. And she's very well committed. She's the community manager. And if UFD is not addressing, believe me, she will. At her level, she directly goes to Adil and they will move fast. In regards to the funding and the budget, I know the city is in a big jam, but they have allocated funds, they have allocated the trucks, and they have workers that are ready to go. And I don't want to be selling what they have, but there is a plan and that is going to be fast action. All it is, just ask, and you will be surprised. Within the same week, you will get response. I'll share with you shortly, and I'll CC David her information. Ellis Lee, and she's the community engagement manager for street services.
Thank you. Yeah, Adele has been fantastic. I mean, he's always on the meetings at the Forest Advisory, and he was on the big event they did and everything. So okay, so I'm glad that we're all in consensus. So I'll make a motion to approve the letter with an amendment, removing Councilmember Lee on the letter, having it just go to Adele. So that would be removing him on the top part as well as the last sentence and the second to last paragraph and the last paragraph where it says both the office member of Councilman John Lee, that'll be taken out. And then on the second to last paragraph, it will say assistance from the, and then it'll be Bureau of Streets, Streets LA.
Jason, Becky has her hand up one more time before we move on with your motion. Let me just unmute her, please.
Hold on, but we need, I have a motion.
Okay, then Becky, one moment, please. Sorry about that.
I'm in the middle of a motion, so if we get a motion in a second, otherwise it dies.
Do we have a second on Jason's motion?
I second.
I second.
Okay, Assad and Moran. Okay, go ahead and open it up.
My apology, Jason. Becky? Becky, you had a question?
Are you taking hands down when they finish or no?
Yeah. No, she came back up, so, all right. All right. So then Gabriel, my apology, please go call the vote then.
No, hold on,
Oh,
hold on.
there's Becky then. Okay.
My, you know, what can I say? It
Okay,
didn't work.
don't worry.
What I would just like to say is that we CC the letter to our council member, John Lee.
I would agree with that.
Thank you. That's all I had to say.
So we go ahead. I guess we need to modify.
I'll include that in the amendment. So the letter will not be addressed to him, but carbon copy will go out to him.
CC, yes.
So CC will be added at the bottom.
Well, he needs to know everything going on in his district.
Correct. I agree.
Thank you.
Do we, Jason, while we're
That's the amendment motion. So then we need another second on that. Well, let's see.
Second.
I'm going to withdraw the initial. So I'll have to withdraw the initial motion and make a new motion, which is going to remove Councilman John Lee from the letter and addressing it to Adele. But John Lee will be carbon copied on the letter.
Second.
And Assad is second.
Second, yeah.
Becky has her hand up again. One moment, please.
What is Adele's position?
He's the general manager of the.
Okay, just if you could just say not just Adele, but Adele, blah, 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 general manager, blah, blah, blah. That's all I have
what
to
it
say.
says. It has his position, general manager.
That's
Blah,
all I
blah,
was
blah.
gonna say. That's it.
I'm just simplifying things so we can keep it moving. Okay.
Perfect.
Are we good, Jason?
Yes, we're good.
Okay.
Call the vote.
Gabriel, would you call the vote, please?
Yes, sir. Brandy, absent. Hassan is absent. David Balin,
Yes.
Jason,
Yes.
Miran,
Yes.
Becky. Becky,
Yes, I am muting myself.
thank you. David Lasher,
Yes.
Lori,
Yes.
Assad,
Yes.
Gabriel, yes. The motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'd like to move on to item number 13, please. It's a discussion possible action for the outreach committee to hold the first Friends and Family Halloween photo parade. Lori, Grace, and Miran.
Thank
Go
you.
ahead, Lori.
Go ahead,
Hi.
Lori.
All right, so this is basically an idea that we decided to request photos of kids or family or, of people dressed for Halloween in lieu of the fact that it's COVID and a lot of people won't be able to go out trick-or-treating. And I would post them on our Facebook page and it maybe as a montage on the email blasts that go out. And we would let it run probably through till November 7th because some people don't get dressed up until Halloween night. And, I would like people to send their photos to me. So I would use my email address, lorichoi@prnc.org. And I will put that out on our Facebook page requesting them. Probably use a picture just so people will see what I'm looking for. It may be haunted house photos, anything that they would like to do and send over our way. If they have a great decorated house, I'd love to see them. I don't believe we're going to do any kind of award. The award is just being seen and heard and you know, getting maybe some likes on Facebook and being seen by the rest of the community. But if there's any comment on that, or if anybody has any problem with that, I would love to hear it.
Let's reach it out to the public first. Do we have any public comment?
Is anybody
No,
there?
but we have a board member. Becky has her hand up. Go ahead, Becky.
Go ahead.
Becky,
Mute. Not unmuting her.
I did.
Not, am I unmuted?
No,
Okay,
you're
so
good. We're here. Go ahead, Becky.
Okay, so I just have a question, Lori, because you should see my house. If you walk into it, you would probably pass out because it's so scary. Seriously, I've been working nonstop since I retired, but it is awesome. I love it. But what I'm saying is, I'm not quite understanding how this will work. Do I have to send a picture before Halloween, after Halloween, during Halloween? How are we? What is the stand that the neighborhood council is going to take on Halloween, given the state Governor Newsom saying that we have to not do it?
Right. Well, that's
How
why.
are we going to work around it?
This is the workaround. So instead of doing trick or treat, I want people to submit their photos inside their house, if the kids decorated or, you know, the kids dressed up or whatever. They can start sending them right away as soon as I post it on Facebook, and send out the email on Sunday as with our usual email blast.
I really have to scare you because I have like 20 boxes.
Send them on, send the pictures over to me.
No, I know. So are you going to, and I think it's just such a great idea. And you know what? I don't need to take board's time. Why don't you just call me? We'll figure it out. Because I really think this is a really great idea. And I have my neighbors saying, I'm not going to go away from Halloween. This is a big deal. We've all stayed in our homes. I've got all these decorations I'm going through since I retired like a couple weeks ago, and I'm filtering them out. I'm going to have a yard sale. You know, how
we lost your audio there. You're on mute again. I don't know what happened. There we go.
Okay, I think it's a great idea. So it's a photographic thing that we're going to send to you, and you know what? You could send it out to the 3,500 people who are on our email list, Facebook, blah blah blah. I think that it's important, Lori, that we give the people a way to express their joy for the holiday season.
That was the point behind this.
And this is our holiday season. We need to figure it out because you know what? The old standard, it doesn't apply. And, you know, call me privately. Maybe I can talk and we can figure something out. But I'm all in hell for Halloween.
Right. Anyone else?
Muted. Assad,
Yes.
please.
Yes. Hi, Laurie. This is a great idea, and we will help you out through the various homeowner associations and all that. We will try to scan some pictures, bring it your way, and I guess we'll figure out, you know, we'll do some albums and share it with you, and this way you could pick and choose, and it will have less effort on you to do the work. Once we give you shared album, you just could, you know, take it there. Any help you need, we're there for you, and let's do it. Virtual Halloween. I mean, we're doing everything virtual Halloween.
Exactly.
But I'll still knock on your door and get some treats.
Yeah,
Jason.
I haven't decorated this year because I didn't want to encourage Halloween trick-or-treaters this year, but outside. So this was a way for me to.
Jason has a question. Go ahead, Jason.
I was just going to share with you, Lori, and I think it's a great idea, and I thank you for taking this on. I just want to let you know, Granada Hills North, I was on their meeting and they're doing something very similar. I don't know if you know, like Karen and Oscar. Oscar's the president, and like Karen's the vice president. But if you want to ask them what they're doing, I think I just want to make sure we don't have any issues. Like if we need to get permission, if we have to like, if we're going to put somebody's picture in, especially minors, I just want to make sure that we're careful about.
In the request for the pictures, I am going to be very explicit in asking, please note whether or not you want your last name being used or just first names and so forth, because especially it's a great point.
I just want to bring that up and about Granada Hills North. If you want to reach out to them, but yeah, good job. Thank you.
So just to share with the board, we had discussed about doing a Zoom Halloween, but unfortunately doing a Zoom, that opens you up to more liability than anything, because it just takes one person to Zoom bomb your event and then there's problems. So I think this is the safest way we can participate with Halloween. And Glenn Bailey has got his hand up, so I know Glenn's gonna have something fantastic to say. So let me go let Glenn in. Glenn, go ahead.
Hey, sorry, is this going to be on your website?
I hadn't determined that. It was going to depend on how many pictures we got in. I'll maybe do a revolving kind of PowerPoint presentation.
Yeah, I mean, I hate to say this, but just to be extra cautious, because I think this might be breaking new ground, but the NC funding program did require the neighborhood councils to fill out an event form when we did the virtual candidate forum, and that was a surprise to me that so I'm just saying, just to be super cautious, certainly take your vote, approve it, and then but I would tomorrow morning, or I guess not tomorrow, Monday. Contact the NC funding program and just run by what you're thinking of doing, and just make sure that you don't have any unexpected situations arise like we did.
Sounds good. And then since you're there, Glenn, let me ask you one quick question. I know as the PRNC, we're not allowed to give out any prizes, and I don't plan to do that this year at all. But if we did request gift certificates or something in the future, say next year we do a similar thing, we keep this going, could we get gifts from the community restaurants and services nearby that are donated in?
Well, you're allowed to give out. You're allowed to give out prizes that don't have much intrinsic value. That's how you can give away your outreach items. Although I have a very nice, okay, you know what, that I got at Earth Day. So, but in general, neighborhood councils give away things that are, worth a few dollars, something like that. As far as items that are like donated by businesses, not paid for by the neighborhood council. I know that some neighborhood councils have done that, but I would exercise, I'm not saying no, but I do say you should just make sure you get it cleared.
I really want
so you don't get in trouble.
I want to encourage people going to businesses and so forth this year and during COVID.
Yeah, I mean, there may be a workaround where you're not like, it's not appearing officially in your documents or your website or whatever, but it's part of the event.
I had these bracelets made last year, at the Valley Fair that we never ended up using, right, Gabriel and Jason? They should be in the storage, right? They're glow in the dark little bracelets. If people get their pictures into me sooner rather than later, they could get that earlier.
Well, that's perfect, because that's outreach. It promotes your neighborhood.
Yeah, we
council.
still have a lot of that, and we still have a lot of the bubbles and the Band-Aids, I believe.
Okay, great. If you could, somebody has to give me the key back and we can go get those maybe from the store.
So Lori, do we have a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to.
Can I say something?
Sure.
So this is a great idea. Both Granada Hills are doing almost the same, but Lori, I would highly recommend take this advice. The West Hills, they are doing the best organized Halloween. It might be a good idea that we can reach out to them and ask them about the concept. Very easy concept too.
Do you know anything about it? How different it is than what I proposed?
Yes, I will email you shortly.
Okay, fine. That's fine. I still would like to do a photo parade.
Yeah, I think so. Lori, would you go ahead and with your motion, please?
I'd like to make a motion to start the first friends and family photo parade for the PRNC.
I'll second that.
I second that.
You're on the
Gabriel,
motion.
thank you.
Nice to meet you, Miran.
Gabriel, can you call the vote, please?
Yes, Brandy absent, Hassan absent, David Balin,
Yes.
Jason,
Yes.
Miran,
Yes.
Becky. Becky, unmute, please.
Yes.
Perfect. David Asher,
Yes.
Lori,
Yes.
Assad. Assad?
I disappear.
Yep. Absent. Gabriel, yes, and motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
All right.
Thank you.
So item number 14, I'd like to table that motion because I have not heard back. So we're gonna go ahead and table that. And this is regarding our, where we're able to post. So at this time, we are still trying to utilize our old posting area. I'm placing it in Starbucks. I'm also placing it at the library just to try and get more people involved. But until I hear back from Excel management regarding a cost, I'd like to table this till next meeting. I'd like to move on to item number 15.
David, I think you need a motion to table that.
All right, then. Thank you, Jason.
I would, can I make a comment? I think I just want to make a suggestion on the second bullet point on the new locations, if you don't mind.
No, go ahead, please.
I think the parks would be good. You know, Lime Kiln Canyon gets a lot of traffic, a lot of people
Outside,
coming into that area, and also Holly Burnson gets a lot of traffic. And I don't want to put more work on Gabriel. I would offer to help him, but I think it would be nice to have like 2 or 3 alternate locations as well. So that's my only suggestion.
So under Dunn's regulations, we have to have a
primary
visual 24-hour
Yeah.
place that the community can see. And I don't know if a park.
It would be right in the front. You know, on Rinaldi where they have the sign for the park, it says Lime Kiln Canyon. You could just staple it right to that post. And you know, in Holly Burnson Park in the playground where they have the you know, where the kids play, and you can put it right there. They tape stuff up there just as a possible option, just for outreach purposes. You know, you'll get a lot of people who may actually read it.
So one of the reasons why I need to have a motion to table this is because on the motion, we need to have a list of Limekiln, Holly Burnson, Starbucks, all the ideas that where we want to have it. And I plan on running them by Dunn to see if it's approved or not before we come back and vote on it. So at this time, I'd like to make a motion to table this.
I second that.
Thank you. Gabriel?
I see.
Should I call
Hey,
vote?
hold on, I'm sorry, please.
Tabled it.
Before we do it, I'm sorry, Becky has her hand out. I need to make sure. I'm not sure if she has it or, my apology. Becky, did you have something to, Becky? Becky? I'm not sure if Becky has a question or she just accidentally hit it. We have one moment, we have a raised hand from.
Yeah, I'm trying to unmute it, David.
Okay, got you there.
Okay, so
Thank you.
I you know what, I know that I've been on neighborhood council for, you know, I started the Porter Ranch Neighborhood Council, and I know that I've been on it for a really long time, and that really bothers a lot of people, but there's something about the history. When we first started the neighborhood council, we had to post in seven different locations. And then the Department of Neighborhood Empowerment said, no, it's one. Posting in Starbucks, you know, there's a dividing line in our neighborhood council district. It's east of Tampa and west of Tampa. West of Tampa, that's where Starbucks is, but where's east of Tampa? And we're used to posting it at Chappelle at that one site, and you tape it on. And I went by there and I took a picture today, and it was taped on, but I don't know if it's still there because it was blowing so hard with all the pages. I thought, oh my gosh, two pieces of tape isn't going to save it. But I think it's really, really important. And I don't disagree with you that you want to postpone the motion, but I think that we really need to look at, it's all about outreach. Tonight, what do we have? 16 people are meeting. I mean, this is a really important meeting. We need to do and I'm not trashing any person on our neighborhood council, but what I'm saying as a neighborhood council, we need to do a better job. And posting it in Starbucks where I have to walk inside, I can't go in there. I'm 70 plus years old. I'm in a high risk group.
So one of the issues, just to share with you, so one of the issues that we have is Excel management has put a lock on the box. They've asked us to pay for the use of it or pay for the box. I have reached out to them and I have not heard back from them. I do like the box, Becky. I'm right there with you. I've done a lot of research on this. I've spoken to John Love. I've got a letter that I've reached out to. What's her name? I reached out to her this morning. She oversees the village, and I've got an idea where maybe we can purchase a community box outside of the visitor center, or what are we calling it? The center that we have over at the village. So I'm just trying to find out what we have. And I'm right there with you, Becky, because that box has been there, but now they're asking us to pay to utilize it. And if you've noticed that it's locked, there's a lock. That's why Gabriel had taped it on there. And I've gone by there day in and day out over the last 24 hours, 48 hours to make sure that it's still taped on there. And it was hanging on there. So it's a good thing.
Okay, but you know what? And I've done my due diligence as well.
Okay.
I understand that the person who posted drives an SUV and has blonde hair, long blonde hair, and takes pictures of it. And I'd like to see those pictures to make sure that all of the postings have happened. I went by there today and took a picture, and it was posted with 2 or 3 pieces of tape with several pieces of paper. You could even, and I can forward, my pictures to you. You couldn't even tell what that was. How much, and this is my question. None of us are doing it, to do anything wrong, but how much are they asking for the box?
They haven't responded to me yet. So as soon as
why? And we're not taping it. That box has a key, and it's glass, and you slide it over and you put your agenda in there. But that's not what we're doing. We're just it's like a street pole that we're just taping it onto. And no disrespect to anybody, because that's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is, why I don't think we should change the location.
So I agree with you.
What has changed? What has changed with that box?
All right, Becky, let me explain it real quick. Let me explain it, David.
Go ahead. I'm going to turn it over to Gabriel. Go ahead, Gabriel.
Okay, about 2 months ago, that location, they ended up replacing the old post because the old post was termited and rotted and it was falling. It was liability. So they
was what?
It was a liability because
no, before that, Gabriel, I didn't hear it.
Termites.
The bottom post was being eaten by termites and wind.
I didn't hear that.
No problem. So about 2 months ago, they replaced it. Except when they replaced it with a much smaller sign. Before, I used to be able to post the agenda like the way you want it. All the pages were next to each other. Anybody walked up to the site, they saw all the pages. Now the new post is very tiny and there is no way to stick all the pages of agenda on it without blocking the information they have in the signage. So we either need to, like David said, we need to invest in something at the community room at the new shopping center and put a sign, maybe write Port Ranch Neighborhood Council on it and have a billboard there dedicated to us and whatever we want to post. Or we got to figure out a different location, because if we have 2 different meetings in 1 week, there is no way that many pages are going to fit in the location that we have right now, which is the location that they're asking us to pay for to use the signage, but we can't really utilize it if we have more than one meeting.
Okay, and who's asking you to pay for it specifically?
It was Excel, right, David?
What person is asking you to pay for it?
Do you remember offhand, David?
I don't
Can't
know
hear you.
if we want to necessarily give the person's name.
Yeah,
but
we're not giving out the
Well,
person's name in
no,
Excel.
it's
What's
Chappelle
the position of
Industries.
the
Who's
person?
the person that says they want money for you, us to post it? That's all I'm asking.
Gabriel, let me interject because she sent the email to me initially, and then I forwarded it to Gabriel because he's our secretary. But what she was asking is not actually for us to pay for it. She was asking if you'd be willing to pay for the old one, the old board, which doesn't make sense because our neighborhood council can't fund something that's already been paid for. But it was she's in charge of one of the HOAs. I think she's the president of what is it, like the master HOA? What is it? Excel management?
Excel is the master.
Yeah, it's Excel management. It's like, I believe the president of the Excel management HOA. And I forwarded the email to Gabriel. And yeah, we do need to find alternate locations.
Yes, I am muted.
But you know what? That sign is owned by Chappelle. John Love is our representative from Chappelle, and to take it like that. I mean, if they change the box, I mean, I've gone by it. It doesn't look like it's been there for very long. I mean, there's a post right there that is from September 19th.
Correct. That's right around
So
when they
basically,
installed the new one.
what we did for this meeting tonight, somebody taped it on there with all the agenda, and I have a video of it. It's flying in the air. You can't even see it. So what I'm asking is specifically from Chappelle Industries, who said we could not post there? And do you need a key to put our stuff in there?
We've never had a key.
Can I answer that, please? Because I got
Been answered already.
Hold on. They did not say that we cannot post there. That's not what was said. Maybe we need to share the email with everybody. They said, would you be willing to pay for the old box? That's what they said. They didn't say we couldn't post there, but
Okay, please, I'm going to ask everybody not to interject while somebody's talking. Okay, I'll mute everybody. Jason, finish, please.
well, I need to keep the record straight on the email that was sent. The email was sent, did not say that that they were asking if we would be open to paying for the cost of the old one, the one that got rotted out. That's what the email said. And I forwarded it to Gabriel. I haven't had any further contact with them, but they weren't asking us to pay for the new one. They just put the new one up. And what he's saying is it doesn't meet our needs. It's too small and it's locked too. So if we want to get a key to that, presumably they might want us to pay, but they didn't ask for us to pay per se for the new one. They asked for the
Okay,
old.
Jason, I had Glenn Bailey has a question. Go ahead, Glenn.
Okay, well, believe it or not, I was okay with you postponing this, but I did want to chime in on two things that as you go forward, I know you got to work on this and you'll do that in the meantime, but two things I just wanted to chime in on to clarify. Number one, the requirement for the 24/7 posting location is not Dunn's rule. It's a state rule. It's a state law. The Dunn policy says you can do more than one. So if you wanted to do additional ones, in the park or wherever else you want to do that, you can certainly do that. I would suggest you may not want to make it like that you're saying shall, that make it permissive. In other words, it's aspirational beyond your one, because then if you, for whatever reason, miss one of those additional ones, then that could be a problem with not with the Brown Act, but with the bonk policy, which is not as severe. It won't cause a meeting to be canceled, but it's still a problem because that's what Dunn enforces. That's number one. So it's a minimum of one. You can do more than one, just as long as that one is the 24/7. There was a comment made earlier, and I just want to clarify that. The second, there was a second real important point I wanted to make. If you don't mind, if I'll yield, but if I think of it, I'll raise my hand again.
Glenn, let me ask you a question real quick. Are we allowed to staple them and post it up, or do we have to put the agenda, all the pages next to each other?
Okay, that actually was the point. I remembered it right as you were speaking.
I figure it's an important point.
Thank you. Thanks. Okay, so I about a year or so ago, I contacted our deputy city attorney, because our board meeting agendas were getting to be 5 pages long. We post on the glass at 2 city facilities. And if you post in the inside of the glass, then yeah, you got to spread them all out. And then sometimes, get there, the facility's locked. You can't get into the inside anyway. So the question to the city attorney was, is it permissible to tape multiple pages or post multiple pages on top of each other so they're not like you're describing, that you're seeing 5 separate pages? And the answer from the city attorney was, yes, you may do that. However, you should do it so that they're sort of, I'm not sure what the best word is, but basically there's some overlap. In other words, like the top page is a little bit higher than the second page, and the third page is a little bit, it's sort of like a fan, a sort of little booklet type thing, so that somebody could then, they can see the first page, they'll see if there's a second page under it, and they just pull it. It only has to be offset like by 1/2 inch or so. Yeah, exactly. 1/2 inch or so. So we've done that several times. Just to save space and because it was a lengthy agenda. I will say this, one of our posting locations is a north-facing glass wall just south of Devonshire. And when the wind is blowing, I'll tell you, that agenda really gets beaten up, but it stays. We do put enough tape on it, and it does stay. The wind in Porter Ranch is obviously going to be even stronger. See, just something to think about, but the answer is yes. They've given permission. I think I even have it in writing, and we've been doing it. But so it's certainly an option, especially maybe down in the shopping center, where it may be more protected, the community center, the community room area, if you're able to get a display board there, or even a certified posting, or if you can get Starbucks to agree to use 8.5 by 11 on their glass on the outside, or it's kind of it's protected in there, that probably would work too. So thank you.
So currently, based on the facts that we can staple and put it on a post, we can continue using that location until hopefully John Love or somebody agrees to us purchasing a box and placing, and hopefully the mall will be the ideal location.
I will speak to John tomorrow. I can speak to him tomorrow, matter of fact, because we talk all the time. But Becky has a question, because I know it's the 386. Becky, go ahead and unmute yourself, please.
Okay.
Hello? Becky, unmute yourself, please.
Unmute.
There you go.
Okay. So my whole thing with the boxes, and I hate to say this, but history is a treasure. In the early days, we used to have to post it in 7 locations. And then the city said, oh no, you just have to do it in 1. I really think that what we, should, okay, a part of the problem that I have with this is, did John Love from Chappelle Industries, Porter Ranch Development Company, say, you cannot post here anymore? That's a question to whoever is in charge of this. Okay, that's my first question. The second question is, I think, the neighborhood council, one of the things that we could do is on the corner of I think it's Corbin and Porter and Rinaldi on the northwest corner, we should put a board that states all of the events happening in Porter Ranch. And that would be great outreach and would tell us when the meetings are. And maybe we could do that. That's a future project, but I'm not understanding why there's such a problem. I mean, what happened with Chappelle Industries, John Love, who's been very supportive of us, and Porter Ranch in not posting our agenda on, I mean, I went by there. I mean, I don't understand what the problem is. And I went by there. Our agenda was not posted inside the box. It was posted outside. It was taped up. So I'm not quite understanding what the problem is.
Mr. President, point of order.
Pardon?
Mr. President, point of order.
Yeah, go ahead.
As this question's been answered about 5 different times, 5 different ways.
I'm not as smart as you, David. And it's just a question that I have in my mind that I really like answered. And I don't want to be insulted like Sherry Darahonian was yesterday. And many of the people who tuned it or a day or so ago. I'm just asking a question. I'm not the brightest light on the box. I'm just saying, I don't understand what the problem is. And
Becky,
I would like it explained.
Yeah, Becky,
okay,
you're concerned.
David?
Yes, Becky, you're concerned, by the way. I will speak to John. John wasn't the one who reached out to us, and I've spoken to John.
John Love or John Lee?
No, John Love. John Love.
Okay.
And we speak
I
all
want
the
to know
time.
the history of it.
No, we speak all the time, but he wasn't the one who sent this letter to us. So once again, let's move forward. I would like to go ahead and have a motion to table this. I will personally reach out to John Love. I will speak to Excel. We'll figure out where we're going to go. We'll come up with some ideas and we'll put this on our next meeting agenda. Do I have a second for the motion?
Who sent you the letter?
I second.
Second,
Who sent you the letter?
call the question.
No, who sent you the letter, David? I just want to know.
I never received the letter. The letter was sent to Jason Hector, then it was sent to the secretary. So I don't have that to answer you.
Okay, that's all I'm asking for.
Okay, thank you. Board, Gabriel, may we call the vote,
Yes,
please?
do we need to vote if you're tabling? You got a first and a second.
Well,
I would say,
Jason, Jason thought we had to have a motion and a vote on it.
well, I think we need a motion to table this item.
So then we don't need a vote on it then, just to table it?
I believe we need a vote to take a roll call on it.
Gabriel, call the vote, please.
Okay, I'll call it just in case. What you call it? Brandy, absent. Hassan is absent. David Balin,
Yes.
Jason,
Yes.
Miran. We'll skip him for a second. Becky,
Could you restate the motion?
it's getting tabled. There's a motion to table.
It would be
Okay.
actually a postponement till it's actually. a
Okay,
postponement.
thank you. Yes, I vote to postpone it.
Okay, David Lasher,
Yes.
Lori,
Yes.
Assad,
Yes.
Gabriel, yes. Back to Miran real quick.
He's still having technical difficulties, I presume.
Okay, absent, motion passes to table.
So let's move on. Jason Hector, this is item number 15. Can you give us a treasurer's report, please?
Sure.
I'm going to pull it up so you'll have it.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. The only thing that's still outstanding, as far as I know, is the MPG for solid. I did reach out and spoke to an individual who is the number on the MPG, the phone number on the MPG, and they're going to forward my information to the treasurer. But basically, like I think it was Dale who presented this MPG, and I mentioned at the meeting that I'll need the language fixed on section 4. It wasn't filled out properly, so the city rejected it, and so I'm working with them right now to get that. And they had a question for Becky, and I believe Becky's on. She can clarify if she responded, but I'm sure she did. They were just asking her a question. So those are But let's see, 41,000. Yeah, so that there's still the, let's see here, expenses to date. It doesn't look like the MPG is included in that. So we haven't spent much money, really. There's not really much going on. Everything is up to date as far as I know. The only thing outstanding is that MPG. So that's about all I have. If there's any questions.
We have a question from Becky.
No, I'm okay.
You took care of that though, right, Becky? You responded to Paula?
Yeah, I did. And I'm
Oh, thank
okay.
you.
I don't have a question.
Perfect. So I'll work with them to get that paperwork filled out properly, and that'll be it. Not too much going on the financial report side.
And just as like a side comment, they're really busy downtown. They don't really get back to you immediately. So I'm just waiting to hear back from her. So just to let you know.
Yeah, it's okay. No rush.
All right, so we have item number 16, the consent calendar. So yeah, item number A. Let me just pull this up real quick for everybody here.
David, I want to pull item number A off of the consent calendar.
Okay, that works for me. It's pulled. Okay, we have item B, approve the August 16th meeting minutes.
Can I raise my hand just real quick?
Yes, go ahead, Jason.
Gabriel, so if are there any changes, or if there are changes, how does it work?
I have 3 people who sent me changes. I'll be making the changes, and you'll have a copy of it again prior to next meeting.
Oh, okay, great. Yeah, that's all I ask. If there are changes.
If anybody else has any more changes, please do send them to me. So I want to get the updated changes up and running next week and send it to everybody.
And I encourage all board members to read the minutes, because I see some people's comments are not 100% correct. So, I call upon everybody to read the minutes, and it also helps because there's a lot of good ideas in there.
Exactly.
Thank you.
We have a question. Becky?
Yeah.
She was there. Becky?
I'm trying. Oh, hello.
There you are.
There I am.
Go ahead, Becky, please.
I don't have anything to add.
Oh, okay, your hand was up. Let me lower your hand. Thank you.
Sorry.
Okay.
So pretty much, if everybody's fine with B, C, and D, we'll approve the consent calendar.
I'll second that.
Call the vote.
All right, for B, C, and D. Brandy, absent. Hassan is absent. David, Balin?
Yes.
Jason?
Yes.
Miran? Absent. Becky?
Becky has her hand up, but
It's from before, I think.
No,
what are we voting on?
The consent calendar.
Pardon me?
It's the August 16, 2020 minutes, August 12, 2020 minutes, and September 2020 expenditure report. September 9 meeting minutes were pulled off the consent calendar.
So the September 9th minutes are going somewhere else?
That's going next month.
Okay, and so what is the motion again, sir?
Motion to approve August 16 minutes, August 12 minutes, and September 2020 expenditure report.
September 2020 we're not going to vote on those. We're going to just
We're
put them
voting
up.
on that, but we're not voting on the September 9 minutes. That's been
Okay.
pulled off.
Okay, thank you very much.
No problem.
Been pulled.
So Becky, are you good with the other 3?
Yes.
Perfect. David Lasher?
Yes.
Okay, Lori?
Yes.
Assad?
Yes.
Gabriel? Yes, and motion passes.
Board, I thank you. Unless anybody has any comments or questions tonight, we've concluded our first meeting. Yes, congratulations.
We got through it.
We did get through it. Thank you to everybody,
Oh,
Glenn, Brian, everybody, all of our stakeholders. Thank you very, very much. I bid you guys all a great weekend, and I'm here for you. Have a great night. Good night,
Good.
everybody.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
We got through.